The protagonist's life changed after God made the mistake of ending his life. In exchange for the mistake made, God offered to reincarnate the protagonist, which he accepted without any problems. Aside from the reincarnation, the protagonist also received special powers which God hoped he would use wisely. The protagonist, Vibel Fakfini, finally woke up and was surprised to see Chapelle, his little sister, first thing in the morning. Due to the protagonist's long name, everyone had decided to just call him Belle. Belle is residing in a rural area where there's no electricity, gas, nor tap water. Living in a rural area was difficult for Belle at first, but he eventually accepted his situation and has enjoyed the place ever since. As Belle was about to do some work, he was greeted by his neighbor, and the two exchanged small conversations. After giving the goat some leaves, Belle wondered if he should bring his wounded goat outside to enjoy the nice weather. While helping the injured goat out, Belle thought that the gifts he received from God were very helpful. The first gift Belle received was superhuman strength. Although the gift is quite plain, Belle was very happy with it as it proves to be helpful in his new life as a farmer. While carrying the injured goat on his shoulder, a woman named Fariel praised Belle's strength and then greeted him good morning. Surprised to see Fariel, Belle asked her when she returned from burial, to which the young lady responded last night. Fariel is an adventurer apprentice. Fariel thanked Belle for the tools that he gave her as they made her trip much better. Having her head patted, Fariel was annoyed as she felt that Belle was treating her like a child, even though she is older than him. Due to Belle retaining the memories of his past life, he could not help but treat anyone younger than him as a child. After finishing his work, Belle returned and was given the food that Chapelle prepared. Belle was then asked if he had seen his younger brother Tuta. Coincidentally, Tuta appeared and was told to wash his hands before eating breakfast. Despite being a young boy, Tuta is in charge of procuring meat for the family. When Chapelle mentioned that they already have lots of meat in their storage, Belle suggested that they give some to the pharmacist grandma. Tugging Belle's arm, Tuta reminded his older brother of the promise that he would be taught magic for the day. With Belle forgetting the promise he made, Chapelle ended up scolding him for it. In Belle's new life, magic is a popular trend. Fortunately for Belle, the last two gifts he received from God were magic-related. In his new life, where everyone can use magic, Belle received the ability to use magic without any limits. Remembering that their fences had already rotted, Belle used his abilities and restored their worn-out fence. Liking their new fence, both Chapelle and Tuta were very impressed with Belle's magic. Belle made their new fence from rock so that they wouldn't have to worry about it rotting away. After receiving praise from Tuta, Belle then went on and taught his two younger siblings magic. In his first lesson, Belle told the two to train image control. Confused, both Chapelle and Tuta asked Belle about it. Realizing his mistake, Belle was now facing another problem: how to make his siblings understand what he's trying to imply. Realizing that his way of teaching was useless to his siblings, Belle suggested to the two that they start with what he had told them the last time. Chapelle immediately showed off her magic, making fire appear on her hands. On the other hand, Tuta could cast both wind and lightning element magic. Belle was very impressed with Tuta, even calling his brother a true genius for being able to use more than one element-type magic at such a young age. Realizing that there was nothing more for him to teach, Belle congratulated the two for passing their tasks. For the next step, Belle suggested to the two to try controlling their image. After using the fire element as an example for image control, Belle then told Chapelle to draw a square midair using the magic he demonstrated as homework. For Tuta, Belle wanted him to make a whirlwind. Seeing his older brother's magic, it made Tuta much more eager and determined to imitate the magic that Belle showed. Belle then left his two siblings to practice on their own, as he still had lots of cargo to deliver. The real truth behind the magic of Belle's new world is trying to materialize what they've drawn inside their head. For people who don't get a chance to read a grimoire, they instead practice their magic by polishing their own style of magic. Belle also was eager to learn wind magic long ago, since it is the signature move of his favorite anime character. For Belle's final gift, it is a magical barrier. Despite it being a spell, the magic barrier does not consume Belle's magic. The barrier can be shaped into whatever Belle wants, and it is also the most useful ability in Belle's arsenal. Belle's barrier magic is also something that he does not share with anyone, as knowledge of it may spread and would eventually for him be exploited. Chapelle informed Belle that their lunch is ready and asked him if he is going to eat together with them. Belle thanked Chapelle for preparing the food and then reminded her to make the meat tender, as they will also give some to Grandma at the pharmacy. After eating his meal, Belle informed his siblings that he will be back before sunset. Before leaving, Belle reminded his younger siblings to finish off any monsters that entered their village using their magic. The center of the village where Belle is residing is called Colony. Belle had to take a wagon to head to Colony since his home is in the mountains. On his way, Belle met Salaberry, a princess from a wealthy house in the village. Since Belle is headed to the colony, Salaberry wished to tag along. Salaberry made it clear to Belle that there's no meaning behind her offering to accompany him to the colony. Though Salaberry is not a bad person, Belle finds it difficult dealing with her. Belle then mentioned Fariel's return, sharing how Fariel did not change and was still as cheerful as ever. However, Salaberry just gave a non-caring reaction. All of Belle's childhood friends are beautiful-looking girls, making him think that his life is somewhat similar to a visual novel. When Belle asked Salaberry why she is going to the colony, Salaberry responded that she is going for work, stating that she is the best beautician in the village. Seeing Belle's bland reaction, Salaberry felt offended and asked Belle if he thought of something rude. Belle asked Salaberry if she had already read the penmanship book, to which Salaberry responded that she did easily. However, Belle recognized that Salaberry was lying and reminded her that he knows how she has difficulty in reading and writing. Salaberry felt embarrassed and told Belle that he didn't have to remind her, as she only wanted to be as smart as him. Belle didn't expect to receive praise from Salaberry and ended up laughing. Seeing Belle's reaction made Salaberry more embarrassed and told Belle to stop mocking her. Not expecting his afternoon to be so noisy, Belle thought that he will have another busy day in his new world. Salaberry realized that she hasn't asked Belle yet the reason why he is going to the colony. Belle shared that he is going to supply the store with firewood and then visit the Adventurers Guild to oversee the apprentice kids' training. After the guild, Belle would then deliver food to pharmacist Grandma, and lastly go to the harbor as he plans to go fishing. When Salaberry told Belle his plans are boring, Belle responded that his life should be boring since he lives in a simple area. Salaberry told Belle that he should accompany her in going shopping. When Belle asked Salaberry how she came up with such a conclusion, Salaberry explained how Belle must be bored with the same routine every day, and that going shopping would be a breather. When Belle reminded Salaberry of the reason why she is in the colony, Salaberry only responded with a stern look, frightening Belle. When the pharmacist Grandma saw Belle, she called him out asking for some help. When Belle approached Grandma without hesitation, Salaberry felt offended and told Belle that she asked him first. Belle explained to Salaberry that he has an urgent business to attend to and would not be able to accompany her shopping. Belle eventually left Salaberry furious, not just for rejecting her suggestion but also for leaving her. When Belle asked the grandmother what he can do for her, the grandmother asked if Belle still has some meat to spare. Belle was surprised, as it is rare for Grandma to ask something of him, making him wonder if something had happened. Grandma shared how a broken ship has been staying in their harbor for the past 3 days. The crew of the ship have been buying lots of food every day, making the grandmother's food storage run out. Learning of the grandmother's situation, Belle thought that the problem is not that big yet. When Grandma asked what Belle meant, Belle shared his thoughts and believed that the crew is around 20 to 30 people. With the food storage almost running out, Belle wonders how the crew is being fed every day with so much food. Belle was certain that if the crew prolongs their stay, their food reserves will be gone. With the recent change of the ruler in the area, a new higher tax had been issued, which helps lots of people who barely make the cut in the village. Belle pointed out that ignoring the merchant ship would eventually lead to a conflict between the crew and the villagers. Realizing that the problem would soon grow to such a big scale, Grandma ran in a hurry, hoping to ask for some help in taking care of the problem. Finishing with his tasks, Belle decided to go to the harbor while still worrying about the merchant ship and Grandma. Listening to Grandma's story, Belle assumed that it would be a big ship. However, he did not expect the ship to be humongous, as it could even pass as an island. Noticing so many people in the harbor, Belle believes that some of them may be the guards or the normal crew. Impressed with the ship, Belle wonders who the owner is. Seeing a crest on the crate, Belle recognized it as the crest of the Bazavador Company, known as the finest trading company in the industry, led by a man called Barvan Bazavador. Realizing that their problem now involves an influential person, Belle found the situation more troublesome. Hearing his name being called, Belle turns and is surprised to see the village chief. When Belle asked the village chief what he's doing at the harbor, the chief responded to just follow him for now. The chief explained that the grandmother had visited him and explained the problem they were facing with the merchant ship, which led to the chief being dragged to the harbor by grandmother. The two then met up with a member of the Bazivador company named Legier. Belle was confused when Legier mentioned that he had heard of Belle as the Mr. Prodigy. The village chief explained that the reason why he called Belle the prodigy of the village is because he is the only person who could write and read at the age of 4, and could do magic at the age of 10. Embarrassed, Belle and the chief asked Legier what he had to say. Going straight to the point, Legier wanted for Belle to hand his horse over to them in exchange for money. Belle was not pleased with how he is being treated and how Legier is acting like he can buy anything with money. Realizing that he is being looked down upon, Belle agrees to sell the horse for 100 gold coins and states that he will not take different offers. Legier was shocked and pointed out to Belle that 50 gold coins would be enough for Belle to purchase another horse and a wagon. As the seller, Belle points out that his offer is already him being generous. Once Belle sells his horse, he would have to carry his things to town for several days. If such a scenario were to happen, Belle shared that he will not be able to pay his daily tax. After explaining the reason why he is selling his horse at a very high price, Bell tells Legier that he only wishes for a proper response to Legier's abrupt and oppressive request. With Legier under pressure, he was suddenly called by someone, asking him to stop. The head of the Bazivador company appeared and apologized to Bell for Legier's rude behavior. Bell changed his demeanor and asked Barvand if they were still interested in purchasing his horse. To Bell's surprise, Barvand unexpectedly bowed his head and asked for Bell's help. Seeing how a wealthy man like Barvand is bowing to him, Bell thought that the Bazivador company may be in a desperate situation. Offering anything within his power, Barvand wished for Bell to impart wisdom to them. Understanding the type of person Barvand is, Bell agrees to help him. After being offered by Bell to stay at his home for the night, Barvand gladly accepted. When Barvand reached Bell's home and ate his food, Barvand was only full of praise. Embarrassed, Bell tells Barvand that he won't be able to give him anything if he keeps receiving praises. As a great merchant, Bell was certain that Barvand had eaten so many foods that were much better than what they had given him. Barvand shared the reason why they purchased most of the food reserves of the village, as they got too excited after seeing fresh ingredients and seeing land after some time. Bell suggested that Barvand procure their preserved food next time, as they will just bring chaos to the village if they continue to purchase their resources. Changing the topic, Bell asks Barvand if the broken part of the ship is the area below the waterline. Listening to Bell talk about ships, Barvand was impressed and expected no less from the person called Mr. Prodigy. Bell did not expect that the documentary he saw from his past life would prove to be useful. Barvand was left with no other option other than to carry all the cargoes he had purchased using Bell's horse. Barvand was shocked when Bell told him that he can repair the ship within 5 days. Bell tells Barvand that he will stick several thin barriers on the damaged area and would eventually cover the hole. Even though Bell explained his plans, Barvand still could not understand what Bell was trying to imply. Barvand asks Bell how much he would have to pay for the ship to be fixed. Using Barvand's influence and connection, Bell was hoping that Barvand could help them in dealing with their tax problem. The two eventually agreed on the conditions they've set for one another. After 5 days, Barvand's ship had been repaired, which surprised him that Bell actually fixed the ship in a short period of time. Before leaving, Barvand resolved the village's issue with the tax. Out of nowhere, Bell was approached by the receptionist of the Adventurers Guild. When Bell asked how the guild is recently, the receptionist shared the rise of sighting reports of goblins. Although the damage is not that big of a deal, there are reports that a caravan almost got attacked by the goblins at the Asaraki Mountain. Bell offered to take out some goblins when he gets back to unloading the burden the guild currently is facing. The receptionist was happy that Bell offered to help and hoped that he would not push himself too hard. Bell remembered that Tuda's hunting ground is near Asaraki Mountain, which he then warns his younger brother to avoid due to possible danger. When Tuda suddenly hid behind Bell, he asked Tuda what the problem was. A group of people appeared and apologized for tailing Tuda. The group knew of Bell's identity, which they then introduced themselves as the Party Light of Darkness Night. The leader of the group, Tokola, asked Bell if they could spend the night at his house. When Bell asked why they wanted to stay at his home, the group explained that they heard of great amenities inside Bell's home and would pay just to stay for the night. Instead of money, Bell asked for the group to pay with their adventure stories instead. The party agreed and was then welcomed by Bell to his house. Chappelle saw Bell preparing his knife, making her wonder where her brother was headed. Bell explained that he would be off goblin hunting since he heard that there were too many of them recently. Chappelle thought that it was a good opportunity for her to test out her magic spells, and asked Bell if she could tag along. Not wanting Chappelle to come, Bell reminded her that she still had work to do and dinner to prepare. Seeing Chappelle getting angry, Bell tried to reason with her, informing her that they had enough members already and that she could tag along next time. Goblins are usually known as a weak monster, but there are stories that around 5,000 goblins destroyed one whole village, which made Bell worry. Bell planned to just reduce the goblins' numbers, but after roaming around the forest, Bell had not seen one goblin yet. Smelling something burning, Bell was curious as to who used fire inside the thick forest. When Bell was almost hit, he became worried and noticed something falling from the sky. When Bell checked, he was surprised that the object that fell was none other than his brother Tuda. After reassuring his brother that he was fine, Tuda shared that he was suddenly attacked by someone he had never seen before. A silhouette then appeared near the siblings, informing the two that they would die by his hands. When the being showed itself, it introduced itself as Rix. Staring at the proud Rix, Bell thought to himself how he should be cautious around Rix. However, no matter how Bell looked at Rix, he could only see a normal goblin. Bell was starting to doubt Tuda and asked his younger brother if he really had gotten attacked by Rix, who looked very weak to him. Tuda shared with Bell that Rix uses fire magic and considers it very powerful. Though Bell agrees with Tuda, he still believes that Rix may just be another muscle-brain idiot who knows how to use magic. Angered by Bell's comments, Rix snapped and charged at the siblings. Bell defended themselves by manipulating the earth. Rix, who saw Belle's attack, mocked him. As Rix leaped towards Belle, he did not expect that he would crash onto a barrier, which led to his horn breaking. Seeing how Rix does not show a shred of wariness, Belle wondered if Rix was much dumber than he thought. Belle was certain that he wouldn't be able to protect the village if the goblin had many friends, regardless if one is very dumb. Trying to grasp how big the goblin problem is, Belle thought that he should let the professionals handle the matter. Belle then spoke with the Light of Darkness night party, offering the girls a quest. Belle apologized to the party for disturbing them and hoped that they accept his quest in investigating the forest's ecology and goblin hunting. Tokola thought it was not a big deal, and believed that they still owed Belle for the delicious food they were given. Allitera asks Belle if he can prepare 2 pieces of map and a guide for them, to which Belle responds that such a request is not a problem. After Allitera left, Belle thought that Allitera may truly be an expert, as he couldn't sense her presence. Belle asks Tokola if Allitera is trying to avoid him. Tokola reassures Belle that it is not the case, sharing how Allitera went through a lot in the past, and has unconsciously built a wall between her and other people. Tokola believes that Allitera may need some time before she can open herself to Belle, promising him that she's a good girl. Deep in the forest, Allitera senses Belle's presence and asks him why he is following her. Belle responds that he is not following her and that he has business in the forest as well. Belle shares with Allitera that herbs are best to be picked while the moon is up, as it would make wounds heal faster if made into an ointment. Belle picked some herbs for Tuta's injuries. Picking up a different type of herb, Allitera suggested to Belle that he use it and mix it with a flower's nectar to increase its potency. Belle was impressed with Allitera, sharing that he had never heard of such a recipe before. Allitera explains that it was their family's recipe that had been passed down for generations. When Allitera noticed that Belle was staring at her, she asked what the problem was. Belle explains how it is such a waste for Allitera to just be herself, when she is actually a pretty interesting girl. When Belle asks if he can call her by her name, Allitera refuses and shares that she herself hates her own name. Belle thought that Allitera's name is beautiful, but Allitera thought differently, asking Belle if he knew the meaning of her name in Elvish. Allitera removes her hood, showing her black hair and elven ears. Allitera explains that black hair is a symbol of ill omen, and further shared that she is a half-elf, and getting along with her won't do Belle any good. Belle just stared at Allitera and told her that she has beautiful hair. Allitera was not expecting such a comment from Belle, which prompted her to ask if he even listened to what she had said. Belle tells Allitera that he only sees a black-haired lady with a little elf blood in her. Belle, who does not want to say anything about Allitera's past, tells her that her past has nothing to do with her future. Belle then points out to Allitera that she now has comrades, and suggests that she forgets all about her hair being a bad omen. Allitera blushed as Belle tells her that she is a beautiful lady and should lift her face and be proud of it. When morning came, Belle greets Allitera a good morning. With Allitera not wearing her hood anymore, the others teased her, saying that Belle is very good. When Tuta approaches her, Allitera asks how his injuries are. Tuta smiles and thanks Allitera as he no longer feels any pain. Now sporting a smile, Allitera felt like her heart is now much lighter after talking with Belle, which she is now very grateful towards him. Hearing a loud sound inside the house, Tokola searched for it and found Belle making weapons. This information surprised Tokola as she did not expect Belle to also be a weapon maker. Belle explained that making weapons is only his hobby. Tokola praises Belle, informing him that the weapons he is currently making are much better than the ones sold in the store. With Tokola taking a liking to his weapon, Belle offered to show his other weapons. Hoping to get a one-handed sword, Tokola was shocked when she saw all of the weapons that Belle had created. Seeing many high-quality weapons, Tokola asks Belle if it was him alone who created all the weapons. Curious, the other members of the Light of Darkness Night went for a look and were also surprised to see silver-plated armors and iron shields inside. Handing a sword to Tokola, Belle asks her opinion of the sword. Feeling the lightness of the sword, Tokola tested it out first with another sword and was surprised that it could cut another sword cleanly. Salela approaches Belle, asking him if he has weapons that would suit her. Belle is confused and asks Salela if a mage like her really needs a weapon. Salela understands Belle's point and explains that she was just wondering if there was a weapon for a mage that Belle had created. Looking through his inventory, Belle then showed Salela a defensive cane. Belle explains that the weapon is an excellent piece that can protect its wielder from any physical attacks and poison gas. Jealous, Vance also voiced out how she wanted an interesting weapon. With nothing in mind that he could recommend, Belle decides to show Vance a kunai. Having no knowledge of what a kunai is, Vance asks Belle if he was going to give her some weirdly shaped weapon. Though Elytra agrees that the weapon features a weird shape, she believes that there's an interesting feature within it. Belle explains that the kunai have been embedded with magic, and that each one of them has different magic and can only be activated once. When Belle asks Elytra what she wanted, Elytra points out that she is a spirit mage and an archer, which means that the weapons she is compatible with are a staff and a bow. Since Elytra already has her favorite weapons, she asks Belle to not mind her anymore. Belle thought of an accessory and gave Alitera a convenient item for her trip. When Belle mentions the item is a toilet, everyone is confused. Belle explains that a female adventurer once asked him to make such an item. Though the item is not of a combative type, the others were not quite sure what to think of the toilet accessory. Vance wore the accessory and was instructed by Belle to state "Camouflage activate" to use the item. Following Belle's orders, everyone was shocked when Vance was suddenly engulfed inside a sphere. To Vance's surprise, she did not expect to see a toilet inside the camouflage. After showing his weaponry and recommending some of his items, Belle was able to gain some fortune from it. Belle asks Alitera what they will be doing now. Alitera responds that they will be hunting the goblins for the time being since the other members are quite eager to test out their new weapons. Alitera reassures Belle that the Light of Darkness Knight will complete the quest no matter what. Impressed with Alitera's confidence, Belle thought that a pro-adventurer like the group should have full confidence. After saying their goodbye to Belle and his family, Tocola shares her opinion with Vance about how she thinks that Belle is a natural gigolo. With the whole place becoming peaceful, Belle decides to lay down and relax. All of a sudden, a man appeared in front of Belle, informing him that the goblins had appeared at the lumber yard. With Chappelle also coming towards them, Belle instructs Chappelle to stay and keep watch over the place as he will check on the lumber yard. Using his magic, Belle swiftly moved through the sky, impressing the man. When Belle met up with Uncle Zabar, Belle asked him if everything was alright. Zabar informs Belle that they have already repelled the goblins, but it cost a couple of their men to get injured. With the wound deep, Belle asks if the goblins use swords or something similar. Zabar confirms that the goblins did use swords, and that they moved in a three-man cell, which makes Zabar believe that the goblins may have organized themselves. After Belle patched up the injured man, Zabar thanked Belle for helping them out, when all of a sudden a pair of hands appeared behind Belle. Unfortunately for Belle, Zabar's warning was a little late, as he got hit right in the face. The goblins were impressed with Belle for surviving after taking one of the attacks. The goblins reveal that they already have prior knowledge about Belle from the Goblin Ricks. Belle instructs Zabar to go to the forest and inform the lady adventurers that he will be fighting an ogre. Following Belle's instructions, Zabar left and went to look for the Light of Darkness Knight. The enemy was not fazed by Belle at all and continued to launch his attacks. However, Belle's speed proved to be more superior as the ogre could not land a single punch. Belle surprised the ogre by catching his punch, which made the ogre wonder if Belle was some sort of monster. Belle teases the ogre for being called a monster by a literal monster. When the Light of Darkness Knight finally arrived, the fight had already finished, and the ogre was now trapped inside the armor that Belle created. As Belle explains how he is toying with the enemy, he suddenly feels a killing intent. When Belle asks Alitera if he has offended her in some way, Alitera responds that he did not. However, everyone could tell that Alitera was truly mad at Belle. Being approached by Alitera, Belle tries to calm her down. What angered Alitera was that they were informed that Belle was facing an ogre, which they came to with haste. However, when they finally arrived, everything was already finished. With tears in her eyes, Alitera asks Belle if he has even considered their feelings. Although she was worried for Belle's safety, Alitera was still glad that Belle was safe. Tuta was being lectured by their guardian, who reminded the young boy that his job was only to scout and not to fight. After responding with an "okay," Tuta immediately left. Witnessing what had happened, Belle was surprised and mentioned how rare it was for their guardian to nag at Tuta. The lady responded that since the area has been becoming more dangerous lately, she was just worried for Tuta's safety. The topic of monsters appearing near the village has become a hot topic among the villagers. Even though Alitera's party and other adventurers helped the situation by patrolling, it was still not enough to ease the villagers' worries. Belle excuses himself as he plans to interrogate the ogre that he had captured. The lady reminds Belle that no violence will be conducted in their home. Though Belle agrees with his mother, he still thinks that he will never get any information from the ogre if he doesn't get a little physical. After meeting an odd ogre after the other, Belle was certain that normal means would not work on them. Belle is also feeling that the two ogres knew each other. Walking through the forest, Belle was surprised to see a girl sleeping. With the girl defenseless, Belle wonders if it was some kind of trap. Though Belle sensed something bad, he still decides to wake the girl and asks if she was alive. The girl woke up and questioned what had happened to her. When Belle got closer to the girl, asking her if she had really fainted in the forest, the girl suddenly grabbed Belle's clothes and asked him to look at her. Noticing the shining effect in the girl's eyes, Belle moved much closer as he suspected that the girl had magic eyes. After Belle deduced her magic, the girl wondered why her magic eyes did not work. Unfortunately for the girl, Belle had put up his magic interception barrier beforehand in case something happened. When the girl pulled her hand away, Belle tried to catch her with his magic. In order to evade Belle's magic, the woman revealed her wings and landed on a branch. Belle did not expect that he would meet a succubus in the middle of the forest. As the succubus let out her frustrations, Belle tried to get the succubus's attention as he still wanted to ask her something. Offended, The succubus introduced herself to Belle as Charney. When Belle asked Charney why she was in the forest, he was confused when Charney asked for Rex's return. With Belle completely forgetting about Rex, Charney became angry as she believed that Belle was just acting dumb. Finally remembering Rex as the goblin that he had defeated, he was surprised when Charney tried to defend Rex. Finally understanding the situation, Belle started to notice a couple of things and complimented Charney's cute dress. Belle informed Charney that he already knew it was a setup from the beginning. It's just that he couldn't help himself after seeing Charney's cute clothes. Belle's comment cheered Charney up, and she started to show off her clothing to Belle much closer. As Charney continued to talk about her master and how kind her master is, she surprised Belle when she took off her pigtails and revealed that she is not a girl. Belle somewhat felt ashamed, as he had actually met a literal trap. Charney felt embarrassed, admitting that it was her fault for being too cute in the first place. Belle had enough and decided to trap Charney inside a barrier. After telling Charney that he did not have the time to talk about clothes, Belle then placed Charney inside the cell along with the ogre. Exhausted, Belle immediately went to bed. Belle wanted to ask more about the odd monster's boss, but what he found out was only that the monster's boss had a weird taste in clothing. With Belle about to close his eyes and sleep, he was suddenly awoken by Chappelle calling his name. When asked for the reason why he was being woken up, Chappelle informed Belle that Tuda had not yet returned. Tokola also shared with Belle an arrow she found near their home. Reading the letter that was tied to the arrow, Belle learned that he was being challenged. Belle reassured Chappelle that Tuda would soon come home. Belle's mother asked him if he was going to be okay. After responding to his mother that he would be fine, his mother still could not help but worry. Belle was still worried that the enemy may come to their homes. Hearing a knock outside, Belle told the person outside to come in. However, Belle did not expect that the being knocking at the door was a slime with a bow tie. Seeing Belle frozen and speechless, the slime asked if there was something wrong. When Belle asked the slime who it was, the slime realized that it had not yet introduced itself. The slime informed Belle that it is the master's butler and guardian. As Belle also introduced himself, the slime then asked for Belle to release Rex and Charney. Admitting their mistake, the slime was willing to make it worth Belle's time. Belle pointed out that the monsters were the ones who selfishly attacked them, and was even more surprised that the slime was now asking for the monsters that caused the problem to be released. Still interested in the negotiations, Belle told the slime that he was not interested in their money. The slime already guessed what Belle did not want and suggested that Belle make the monsters owe him a favor. Belle liked the idea and agreed to the deal. The slime then asked Belle if he could meet their master. Curious, Belle asked the slime why it wanted Belle to meet their master. The slime mentioned that its master is a dungeon master, and that they are currently facing a little problem in their dungeon. Getting the gist of what the slime was trying to imply, Belle informed the slime that he would solve the problem, depending on the matter. However, Belle would only help them out after he hears the monster's sincere apology for hurting Tuda. The next day, both Charney and Rex were released. When Rex was ordered by the slime, whose name was revealed to be Bamble, to apologize to Belle, Rex showed behavior that he would not follow Bamble's request. Bamble then became serious, giving Rex a warning that he would not tolerate any backtalk. After completing part of the negotiation, Bamble then suggested that they now head out to the dungeon to meet their master. Before leaving, Belle asked for everyone to come out as he had already sensed them since earlier. The Light of Darkness Knight was surprised that Belle was able to sense them. Belle reminded the group that he was the one who created the weapons they have, which allows him to know where the weapons' current locations are. When Belle asked Elytra why they were following him, Elytra explained how they were only concerned for Belle's well-being. When Elytra asked Bamble if they were not allowed to tag along, the slime responded that they could follow and warmly greeted Belle's comrades. Inside the dungeon, Belle told Elytra that there was no need for her to be twitchy, reminding her that they only came to talk. When Elytra also reminded Belle that they were about to meet a dungeon master, Belle remembered that he had no clue what a dungeon master is. Elytra explained to Belle what a dungeon master is, a being that is known to be extremely difficult to beat. When the group finally arrived, Belle was shocked to see a familiar structure. The Light of Darkness Knight was confused as to what kind of structure they were seeing. When Elytra asked Belle if he knew what the structure was, Belle could not give a clear explanation. Arriving at the dungeon, Belle is having a difficult time forcing himself to believe that an apartment building is the dungeon. Belle starts to think that he may have heard Babel incorrectly. Losing his composure, Belle starts to attract attention, for which he apologizes right after. Entering the dungeon, Belle notices a signboard that had Itoki Mansion written on it. A woman opens a window and is surprised to see guests. The woman introduces herself as Kyuko, the manager and gatekeeper of the mansion. Belle is very suspicious of Kyuko as he finds it hard to believe that one female is working as the gatekeeper. Kyuko reassures Belle that she will be fine, revealing her true identity as a homunculus. Hearing that there was a homunculus, Salela hastily runs towards Kyuko, astonished to see a real-life homunculus. Allitera reminds Belle that they need to be careful as the Dungeon Master is someone not to be trifled with. As Belle was about to meet the Dungeon Master, the only thing that keeps him worrying is Tuda's safety. Noticing how messy the room is, Belle is surprised when he sees Tuda inside. Belle is finally relieved after being reunited with his brother. Belle finally realizes that Tuda was calling for help. A woman then appears, seemingly following Tuda. Allitera intervenes with the woman's plans and pulls out her knife to protect Belle and Tuda. Concerned for its master's safety, Bamble leaps in and blocks Allitera's attack. Bamble calmly asks for Allitera to lower her weapon. However, Allitera had no plans of lowering her guard after what the Dungeon Master did. Realizing that Allitera is correct, Belle asks the Dungeon Master to act properly and not cause any misunderstanding. The Dungeon Master could not help herself but admire Tauda, who looked like a Shota to her. Looking at the Dungeon Master, Belle already could tell that she was just bad news. With Belle leaving, Bamble pleads for them to return. Before starting their meeting, Allitera offered to finish off their enemies if Belle would give her the signal. As things finally settle down, the Dungeon Master once again tries to take advantage of the sleeping Tuta. Before the Dungeon Master could do anything further, she was kicked by Belle from the back. Belle sighs as he had never expected to meet another reincarnated person like him. Confused at first, it finally sinks in for the Dungeon Master that she was also facing a reincarnated person. Belle also notices familiar items inside the room, which made him deduce that he and the Dungeon Master used to live in the same era. After the Dungeon Master introduces herself as Arena, she hopes that Belle and her could get along. When Belle introduces himself, Arena is surprised as the name was all too unusual for her. Belle reveals his true name and explains that his true name is too difficult to pronounce, so he decides to shorten it. Arena thought differently, thinking that Belle's complete name would be wasted, and asked him if she was allowed to call Belle by his complete name. Belle did not really mind, and asked if they could talk about the main problem. Agreeing with Belle, Arena changes the tone of her voice and asks for Belle's help in protecting her from her enemies. Confused, Belle asks what enemies Arena was referring to. Arena had a different variety of enemies, from the heroes to other monsters. When Belle asks why she is being attacked, Arena could only guess that it was her whole existence. Arena reveals that her body had become a little bit troublesome thanks to the wishes she had made before being reincarnated. When Belle asks what the wishes were, Arena reveals each of the wishes she made, starting from having the same exact body as she once had in her previous life. Becoming an undead, Arena also reveals that her actual species is a lich. Though Arena portrays herself as a human, she is actually a monster. The problem Arena faces is how her species consumes food. A lich consumes others' vitality by using energy drain. However, in Arena's case, she can only eat inside her dungeon. Belle sympathizes with Arena, understanding how difficult her way of living is. As for Arena's second wish, she wished to have a place where she could be a shut-in, which she believes did wonders for her. For her third wish, Arena has the ability to create more subordinates. However, Belle points out the flaw of her wishes, which is that she can't protect herself. Belle believes that there was nothing for him to help with in the first place, and bids farewell to Arena. Desperate, Arena holds on to Belle's clothes, begging to be saved. Bamble interrupts the conversation and also pleads with Belle to save their master. Bamble was quite embarrassed to admit that they were able to survive by moving from place to place. After moving for a long time, Bamble, along with Arena, has finally found a place they could call a paradise. Belle sighs as he is moved by Bamble's words, and tells Arena that she should be glad for having a good subordinate. With Belle announcing that he will help out, Arena cheers, which Belle immediately clarifies that he will only give them advice and nothing more. Rick suddenly appears and was about to bring terrible news. However, he immediately becomes frightened upon seeing Belle inside. After Bamble explains the situation, Rix apologizes for his rude behavior, and reports that they spotted a group of orcs near their dungeon. The news frightened Arena, as she did not want to be near the orcs. When Belle asks if the group knows the orcs, Bamble responds that they've encountered the orcs a while back when they were still moving around the continent. With orcs being a species that has a strong sex drive, they have become infatuated by Arena's voluptuous body and have persistently stalked her. Belle was surprised when he was suddenly pulled. It was revealed that Allitera had pulled him, informing him that orcs are very dangerous and suggesting that they move out before they get involved much deeper. Hearing that Belle was about to leave, Arena cries and asks for Belle to stay. Annoyed, Belle asks how big the enemy force is. Rix responds that there are around 80 to 150 orcs, and that their power is equal to high-ranked soldiers. Assuming that the orcs also have mages with them, Belle was certain that they would be outmatched. Noticing Allitera's concerned look, Belle reassures her that he will not join the battle. However, he will try different means to help out. Using his ability, Belle pulls out a large quantity of weapons ranging from swords to axes. Bell orders the monsters to use the weapons he pulled out to protect Arena, as it will also help them secure Arena's food. With the weapons being distributed, Charney appears and asks if the orcs are really going to attack them. Finding Charney's timing to be perfect, Bell hands her a rope and instructs her to use it. Annoyed, Charney asks why she has to listen to Bell. When Bell explains that Arena's fate depended on it, Charney changed her mind and decided to comply with the orders. After supporting the monsters with his weapons, Bell was then told by Charney to leave, as his business had already concluded. Before leaving, Bell cheers for everyone and hopes that they see each other again. Bell sighs as he finds Arena quite unique. What surprised Alitera even more is that Bell got along with a lich quite well. When Tuda finally wakes up, Bell asks him how he is feeling. With his stomach rumbling, Tuda responds that he is hungry. As they are about to reach home, Bell informs Tuda that they will soon eat something delicious. Tokola informs Bell that their party will patrol the forest for the time being. As Bell's family says goodbye to the Light of Darkness night party, Chappelle notices lots of carriages. Upon closer look, the sibling recognizes the man as the merchant Avel. Interacting with the merchant, Bell notices that Avel has unusually brought a much bigger company this time. Before Avel could explain the situation, he calls on a boy and asks him to introduce himself. The young boy introduces himself as Box, Avel's little brother. Bell was surprised at how polite Box is, and tells him that he doesn't need to be that polite. Avel informs Bell that it is Box's first day being a peddler, and that Bell should cut his little brother some slack. Since Box is the one who will succeed the business in the future, Avel hopes that Bell would treat his brother well. Bell was very confused and asked Avel what he meant by Box succeeding. Avel reveals that he has already retired from the merchant business and has decided to spend the rest of his life opening a shop in the village. Bell was now more confused and told Avel that he is far too young to retire. Another person got out of the carriage and asked if something was wrong. The woman introduces herself as Serenilla and mentions how she has heard so many things about Bell from her husband. Confused at first, Bell then realized that the husband Serenilla is referring to is none other than Avel. Bell confirmed his theory when Avel reveals that he has married Serenilla. Though Bell already had an idea as to who Serenilla was, he was still shocked upon learning that Avel was already married. Bell congratulates the two and had hoped that Avel told them the news much sooner. Chappelle also approached the couple and congratulated them on being married. Bell's mother noticed the commotion and asked what was happening. Bell starts to spread the news of Avel getting married and bringing his wife back home. Bell's mother was certain that Avel and his company were tired and offered his home for them to rest. Box excuses himself as he still had some important business that he needed to deal with. Box asks for Bell's help in guiding him to the center of the village. Agreeing to help, Box approaches Bell and mentions that he needed to discuss another matter. On their way to the center of the village, Box informs Bell that he wanted to give the new couple a surprise. Since Avel and Serenilla are always on the move, they haven't held their wedding ceremony yet. Box wanted to do something for Avel and Serenilla, as he felt indebted towards the couple. Amazed at how kind Box is, Bell agrees to help out Box. While laying out their plan for the surprise, Bell notices someone ahead and recognizes the person as Tawala. Bell approaches Tawala for a favor, hoping that she can help out in making a bridal dress on the day. After revealing that it was for Avel's wife, Tawala becomes happy and mentions that she has the perfect cloth to use for the bridal dress. Not getting the chance to talk to Tawala, Box asks Bell who the girl was. Bell informs Box about Tawala and that she will be helping them in making the bridal dress. Wanting to extend help, Box tells Bell that he would do anything just to help. But Bell reminds Box that he still has business to deal with and suggests that Box not push himself. Bell asks Box if he can continue by himself and points in the direction of the colony. After stepping off the carriage, Bell calls out for Salisbury, asking her how long she plans to hide. Glaring at Bell, Salisbury mentions that Bell has become more busy. Salisbury's glare vanished once Bell notices and mentions the change in Salisbury's hairstyle. As Salisbury becomes distracted and asks to be praised more, Bell then asks her if she can do him a favor. Salisbury snapped when Bell asks Salisbury if she can make Serenilla's hair prettier. With bottled-up rage, Salisbury asks Bell who Serenilla is. After explaining who Serenilla is and his current situation, Salisbury calms down and agrees to help Bell with the wedding ceremony. Salisbury believes that the ceremony would be held at Bell's home, which he then grabs his hand and starts to drag him. When Bell asks Salisbury why she was in a hurry, Salisbury responds that they have little time left to prepare for a wedding ceremony, and that they must act with haste. Upon returning home, Serenilla asks Bell where Box is currently at. Bell explains that Box is currently dealing with his business deal. With Serenilla holding a knife, Bell asks if she can lower it. Serenilla became flustered and apologized for her actions. As Bell approaches Aval and mentions that Serenilla is quite unique, Aval reveals that Serenilla is an actual noble's daughter and is not used to doing lots of things. Bell starts teasing Aval, calling him an aspiring gold digger. Serenilla left her own house to pursue the dream of becoming a doctor. Because of Serenilla's decision, her family disowned her and she has not met them ever since. As Abel continues to share Serenilla's life story, he becomes embarrassed when Belle tells him not to start falling in love with his wife again. For the new couple, Belle offered to build the two a house as a wedding present. When Belle asks Abel where he wants the house to be built, Abel requests for his home to be close to Belle's. While Belle is occupied in creating the house, Abel decides to visit the village chief to ask permission. Belle remembers that Serenilla wishes to become a doctor, and thought that making a clinic would be a great idea as well. Serenilla was very pleased to hear that Belle will build her very own clinic. Abel and Serenilla looked very puzzled when Belle informed them that he still has one more present for them. While Belle and Tuda are busy making the house, the light of darkness night finally returns after hunting all day. The party were puzzled upon seeing a new home near Belle's place. When Abel noticed the light of darkness night, he asked Belle if they were his guests, to which Belle responded that they were. Tokola, the leader of the party, introduces herself first to Abel. Hearing Tokola's name, Abel was extremely surprised as he did not expect to meet the group called Massacre Maidens. Embarrassed, Tokola asks Abel to refrain from calling their group by such a name. Confused, Belle asks Abel what he is talking about. Abel was yet again surprised to learn that Belle had no knowledge as to who his guests were. Abel then informs Belle of all the achievements of the Light of Darkness Night Party and how minstrels sang a poem about the group's bravery. Allitera was starting to get embarrassed when Belle mentions that he has been hosting an elite party. Chappelle approaches Belle, informing him that his guests, Twala and Salisbury, have arrived. When Chappelle told Belle that all that's left was to bring out the dishes, Belle asks the Light of Darkness Night Party if they can help out in placing the dishes. Abel starts noticing something and brings the matter to Belle. Realizing that he has been caught, Belle believes that it was about time for him to unveil his plans. Before Belle could say anything, Box finally returned and apologized for being late. Abel was in shock as Box brought all the people he knew, congratulating him for his marriage. With the secret finally revealed, Belle informs Abel that Box orchestrated everything, and that he should be grateful towards his successor. Handing Abel a flower, Box congratulates his brother for his wedding. Overwhelmed, Abel couldn't help but shed a tear. After being teased by Belle once again, Abel froze as he saw Serenilla wearing a wedding dress. Seeing how happy and pleased the couple are, Belle praises Twala and Salisbury for a job well done. After thanking Belle and everyone for granting them a wedding ceremony, Abel was yet again teased by Belle for crying. Belle then announces the start of the wedding ceremony. After finishing Abel's house 4 days after their marriage, Belle had set up the first floor of the building as Abel's trading company. Meanwhile, Serenilla's clinic was planned to open next. However, seeing how clumsy Serenilla was, Belle was not sure if the clinic would open soon. Seeing the couple getting all romantic with each other again, Belle reminds them that they should do it in moderation, as the items being sold must be taken care of first. Noticing so many books, Belle was surprised when he found a book that was coated with magic. Abel told Belle that he asked Serenilla's acquaintance to coat the book with a barrier. Intrigued, Belle asks Abel who he plans on selling the book to. Yearning to do business with the mermaids, Abel plans to use the book as a way to make a connection with them. Abel asks Belle if he can use the small hut by the harbor, promising Belle that he would pay rent. Though Belle was surprised at first by the idea of Abel selling books to mermaids, he tells himself that he shouldn't expect less from someone like Abel. In normal circumstances, books can never be read under the sea. However, with the idea of coating them with magic, Belle believes that people would surely seek out Abel's books. Belle informs Abel that he still has one big problem, which is that the mermaid world at the moment is in a warring period. With Abel getting more confused, Belle explains in detail what is currently happening in the mermaid world. Belle believes that the harbor is similar to a remote region of the sea, which comforts him with the thought that the mermaid war would not reach the place. In terms of doing business with the mermaids, Belle assumes that the only items they would purchase are weapons and medicines. With a war happening, Belle is certain that no mermaid would purchase books, and frankly tells Abel that his books may not sell in the mermaid world at all. Before Abel gets discouraged any further, Belle suggests that they head out to the harbor tomorrow so Abel can check the hut out. The next day comes and Belle shows Abel his hut at the harbor. Belle explains to Abel that half of the hut is submerged under the sea, which would help Abel in making deals with the mermaids. Abel asks Belle if it's necessary for him to dive for a long time. Abel admits that he can't hold his breath for long, which worries him. Out of nowhere, mysterious creatures come out of the water. Abel asks Belle if he knows the creatures, but Belle does not recognize them and says it is his first time seeing such beings. Belle is certain that the creatures are not mermaids and thinks they may be of a different species. All of a sudden, the creatures pull out weapons, which makes Belle and Oval realize that they may be in trouble. After dodging the creatures' attacks, Belle grabs a hold of Abel and jumps into the sea. Abel reminds Belle that he can't swim. However, it was too late, as the two had already jumped in the water. Abel was confused as he noticed that he could breathe underwater. Bell reveals that he has covered Abel's body with a barrier so that he could breathe without worries of drowning. With the creature still pursuing Bell and Aval, Bell tells Abel to follow him. Abel asks Bell if he has a place they can take refuge in. Bell responds that they can use General Harjarl's residence since it was not far from them, as he was also certain that the general's soldiers would be there to protect them. Out of nowhere, a mermaid appeared and bumped into Bell. When Bell opened his eyes, he was surprised to see Not expecting to meet Bell, apologizes and asks Bell if he is hurt. Bell then introduces the mermaid to Abel as the general's private secretary. After greeting Abel, asks Bell about Abel's identity. Bell explains to that they currently do not have the time to introduce Abel and asks if they could hide at the general's residence. When Bell mentions that they are being chased by some squid girls, he notices that the girls have vanished. When Bell suggests that they move while they still can, warns them that the ocean is really dangerous and suggests that they return to the land at once. Confused, Bell asks what is happening. Explains that the Empire has been invaded not too long ago and they've been searching for Bell ever since. Curious, Bell asks why the Empire's been searching for him. Explains that because of Bell's equipment, their small country was able to hold its ground. Unfortunately for kingdom, the Empire started to become aware of the existence of Bell's equipment. With the Empire now searching for the source of the equipment and the general not currently present, Bell was still not worried as he was certain that the general would not let the Empire reach his home. Felt pathetic after being entrusted by the general to guard the place but was unable to do so. Bell tells to wipe her tears and mentions that all they needed to do was to drive away the Empire. Abel was shocked as he assumed that Bell would try to engage in a fight with the Empire. Pleaded for Bell to not go with his plan as he is severely outnumbered. Bell reassured that everything will be alright as he pointed out that he had no intentions of fighting the Empire directly. Not sharing his plan, Bell just told the two to hide since things will become more dangerous. Worried, asks Aval what Bell intends to do. Remembering that he has not yet introduced himself, Aval tells his name. After knowing Bell for a long time, Aval had already guessed what Bell was planning to do. Aval reassured that there was nothing to worry about as he was certain that only Bell could pull off whatever his plan may be. Bell finally found the Empire soldiers who were destroying the weapons and hoarding all the food. The sea creatures were in shock to see a human underwater. They immediately recognized Bell as the one who had provided the equipment. Bell warns the Empire soldiers to leave in peace or to face pain first before facing defeat. Bell's comment enraged the soldiers. As the Empire soldiers were hastily approaching him, Bell cast out a large net, capturing all the Empire soldiers. When Bell mentioned eating the soldiers started to panic and called Bell a barbarian. Who also heard Bell, was not sure what to feel, as she did not expect Bell to look at them in such a way. Bell orders to throw the soldiers into the jail, as he will let the general decide the Empire soldiers' punishment. Aval approaches Bell, informing him to stop with his bad jokes. Bell apologizes and realizes that the sun was about to set, and suggests that they head home. Noticing an item, hands it back to Aval. Was shocked when she realized that the item was a book. Was amazed, as she had never thought that she would find one under the sea. Aval was glad to hear a positive review, and informs that he is planning on selling the books to the mermaids. Bell then reminds that Aval is a merchant, and that befriending him may prove more beneficial to them. Though did not think the idea was bad, she points out that their home is currently in a worse state and may not be able to purchase the books. Aval offers to help and her country out by gathering some materials from above ground. Aval was certain that he would be seeing for a while. He also mentions how he couldn't leave a troubled person, which is the reason why he is trying to lend a hand. Seeing getting attracted to Aval, Bell warns her to stop her feelings as Aval is already married. Allitera was worried for Bell after he mentioned that he planned on visiting the dungeon again. Bell explains that he had already promised Arena and his subordinates that he would help them out. Hearing that Bell would be visiting the dungeon again, Tuda volunteered to join. Confused, Bell reminds Tuda that he would be visiting the person who kidnapped him. Although Tuda was scared, he believes that by returning to the dungeon, he can overcome his fear and become stronger. Worried for the siblings, Allitera decides to join them in visiting the dungeon. When Arena saw Tuda again, she became obsessed once more and had to be stopped by Bamble. While holding on to her emotions, Arena greets Bell and apologizes for unconsciously getting excited. Bell advises Arena to build a town underground and then create a country with the town as the center. The king of the town would be none other than Arena. Bell's explanation left everyone confused. Bell explains that if Arena can create a town and manage their own economy, they will soon be able to protect themselves and would no longer need to be afraid. Bell plans to have Arena's creatures dig a tunnel to the port so they won't have any problems doing business with the mermaids. Arena once again becomes excited upon hearing that there are mermaids in their world. Referencing an anime to better understand what Bell is implying, Arena was getting excited and promised to do her best in digging the tunnel. Belle clarifies to Irina that she will not be the one digging the tunnel, but instead she will do intensive training in order for her to work outside. Irina reminds Belle that she is an undead and that she would turn to ash immediately as soon as she comes in contact with the sun. To Irina's disappointment, Belle informs her that she will be working at night. Before leaving, Belle informed everyone that he would give them the details when he returns. Tuda suddenly proposed a race as he believed that he was now faster. However, Tuda only faced disappointment after losing to his brother again. Alitera, who was exhausted, was surprised when a goat suddenly appeared in front of her. Belle mentions that it was shearing day. After greeting Tuala, Alitera noticed that there were a lot of women gathered. Tuala explains that it was the women's job in the village to shear the long-haired goats. Tuala asked Irina if she wished to do the work, pointing to the rest of the Light of Darkness night party, who were already shearing a goat. Belle leaves the girls to their own work, as he states that men like him also have their own work. Laying on the ground, Belle realized that it had been a while since he lazed around. After fixing a merchant ship and finding a mansion, Belle realized that he was too busy. Though Belle was now getting busy in his rural life, he realizes that his life now is far better than his previous one. Out of nowhere, a creature that Belle had never seen before appeared. Hearing a rumbling sound, Belle assumed that the creature was hungry and offered some food. With the creature still hungry after eating a single piece of cookie, Belle asks if it can eat meat as well. In an instant, Belle was able to whip up a meal. The creature slept soundly after eating all the food that Belle made. As Belle was about to touch the creature's head, he suddenly felt a strong gaze behind him. Belle heard a warning from behind to not touch his daughter. After explaining what happened, Belle asked the man who he was. The creature introduces himself as the chief of the Sierrata tribe, Herbal. The girl who fell asleep was Herbal's daughter, Eliza. Since Herbal was so worried about his daughter, Belle reminds him not to leave his daughter all alone. However, Belle realizes that there may be a reason behind Eliza being all alone. Belle instructs Herbal to go to the Avel company trading in the nearby village, as he was certain that Avel would not hesitate to help them. Herbal asks Belle why he is helping them. Belle also has no clue why he is extending his help, but he believes that they should help each other out. After thanking Belle, Herbal left with his daughter. When Tuta appears behind Belle, he asks if they have finished shearing. After responding to Belle's question, Tuta suggests that they return home as it was about to get dark. Belle asks Tuta if he wanted to have another race. Excited, Tuta accepted the challenge and promised Belle that he will not lose again. Chapelle was so excited that he asked his brother to hurry. Serenilla notices the siblings and asks if they are going on a trip. When Chapelle mentioned that they were going to gather some Plara fruits, Serenilla looked confused, as she had no idea what the fruit looked like. After Belle explained what the fruit was and how they were planning on making it into a jam, Serenilla shared how she couldn't wait to try the jam. When Serenilla asks where the fruit is located, Chapelle excitedly responds that it was located on the uninhabited island. Avel asks Belle if they are going to fly to the island. Unfortunately, Belle could not fly while bringing Chapelle. Belle reveals their other mode of transportation. Both Avel and Serenilla were in awe when a dragon suddenly appeared. Belle explains that he usually asks the dragon to carry some heavy things for him whenever they go to the uninhabited island. The two siblings then hopped on the dragon's back and were now headed to the island. When they finally arrived at the island, Belle warns Chapelle of the unknown dangers lurking on the island and that they should never let their guard down. Chapelle then calls for Belle and points to a submarine. As the siblings investigate, Belle starts to notice items that shouldn't exist in their world. Out of nowhere, a man appeared and pointed a gun at Belle and Chapelle. What angered Belle most was that the man showed his naked body to Chapelle. After being scolded by Belle, the man apologizes and introduces himself as Bandu Takeru. As Takeru explains where he came from, he assumed that Belle would not understand. However, to Takeru's surprise, Belle reveals that he is also from Earth and was reincarnated in a new world. Finally conversing with someone, Takeru becomes relieved. Excited, Chapelle asks Belle if she can ride the submarine, which Takeru had no problem with and gave Chapelle permission to go inside. After explaining to Takeru that their new world has magic, Belle asks him what he did with his 3 wishes. Takeru reveals his wishes. For a submarine, an automatic repair function for the ship, and a complete set of equipment. Belle concluded that Takeru can't use magic. What concerns Takeru is that he can't use his second wish, even though there was electricity inside. Confused, Belle was certain that Takeru could use the skill since it was given by God. Belle was shocked when he saw the submarine suddenly floating. Chapelle explains to her brother that all she did was pour mana on the wall, which suddenly floated on its own. Takeru also noticed that the auto repair function had been activated. Realizing that his ship requires magic to be repaired, Takeru felt worthless since he can't use magic. Belle encourages Takeru, telling him that it was still too early to give up. Belle tells Takeru that he was lucky that they bumped into each other and suggests that they leave the island first. After receiving some support from Belle, Takeru regained his confidence after Chappelle offered their home for him to stay. Upon returning home, Takeru could not help but cry after seeing more people. Saranilla suddenly barged inside Bell's home, asking for his help as they had trouble in their shop. When Bell arrived at the shop, he immediately noticed so many people gathered around it. Herbal appears and explains to Bell that he has decided to rely on Bell's kindness and begged Bell to save them. When Bell asked him to share the situation first, Herbal told Bell that they had been attacked by orcs and had been separated from each other while escaping. After finding all of their brethren again, Herbal was saddened since they no longer had a place to call home. Herbal promises Bell that he will repay the debt in the future. When Bell asks for Avel's opinion, Avel suggests having the Sierrata tribe live underground. However, the idea is currently impossible since the tunnel has not yet been constructed. While thinking of possible places for the Sierrata tribe to live, Bell remembers the uninhabited island and how it can accommodate a whole species. When Bell proposed the uninhabited island as the Sierrata tribe's new home, Herbal was worried if his people could live in such an environment. Bell reassures Herbal that they will be fine, as he will teach them all the essential skills in order for the Sierrata tribe to survive. Bell asks Herbal if they would like to be the pioneers of the uninhabited island. Morning came and the young Eliza had finally woken up. As Eliza yawned, Herbal appeared, greeting Eliza with a good morning and asking her if she had slept well. Herbal suggests that they meet the others after eating breakfast. Herbal has something important to tell the others. With a big smile, Bell greets everyone with a good morning and introduces himself as one of the villagers, saying that they may call him Bell. Getting the attention of all the ladies and gentlemen, Bell explains to the Sierrata tribe about the uninhabited island frontier project. Confused, Takeru asks Aval what it is all about. Aval is not sure either, as he feels like he is listening to a swindler somehow. A woman of the tribe tells Bell to wait first and asks if the island is really inhabitable in the first place. The woman states how Bell speaks as if it's a very simple thing. However, the woman is sure that there are some among them who still can't fully accept Bell's project. Bell responds, admitting that the woman may be right, and suggests that the Sierrata tribe ask about the details of the island from Takeru, whom Bell is pointing at. Confused and nervous, Takeru points to himself and mutters, "Eh?" Bell reassures Takeru that it will all be alright, as Takeru has to tell the Sierrata tribe what he experienced while he lived on the island. Nervous, Takeru tells Bell that his request is just too sudden. However, Takeru is left with no other choice but to follow, facing the whole Sierrata tribe. Takeru is surprised when his attention is called, as Herbal calls him young man, and asks how his life was on the island. Herbal asks if Takeru experienced any danger or met any dangerous creatures on the island. Gripping his arm tightly, Takeru cannot give a proper response at first, muttering. Takeru eventually speaks and tells Herbal that he didn't encounter any danger when he was living on the island. On the island, there are only mountains, a lake, a forest, and the sea. That means that people who will be living on the island must build a shelter for themselves. Takeru assures the Sierrata tribe that there are lots of edible plants and fish on the island. As long as the tribe can get used to it, Takeru believes that the island is inhabitable just fine. After hearing Takeru speak, Herbal calls the tribe's attention and tells them that there won't be a problem if they live on the island. Furthermore, Herbal adds that they won't have to worry anymore about invaders, which he believes is favorable for them. Even after hearing Takeru's statement and Herbal's support, some members of the Sierrata tribe still feel hesitant. They then point out that the place they will be transferring to is an island, and that they've never lived near the sea before. Hearing that, Bell guesses that it's really impossible to let a land-dwelling species live near the sea after all. Herbal inhaled deeply and shouted at his kind, asking them if they did not think that it was a great chance for their kind. Herbal asked everyone to think for a second, pointing out that they've already been driven out of their own hometown. They then get another opportunity by finally finding a land where they can live peacefully. Herbal agrees that their tribe has never lived on an island before. However, since it is Bell who suggested the island, Herbal supports Bell's idea, as it was thought up so that they can live without worrying about dangers anymore. With that reason, Herbal wanted to bet on the chance that appeared in front of them, and pleaded with his own tribe to just trust and follow him. After his speech, not only Eliza was moved, but also the whole tribe. Finally seeing Herbal's point, the Sierrata tribe understood it, and suggested that they do their best together over at the island. With their paws up in the air, the tribe cheers so that they can be great again. Bell praises Herbal, telling him that his speech was very cool. Embarrassed, Herbal shared that it had been a while since he had delivered such a passionate speech. Changing the topic, Herbal asks Bell what they will be doing after this small gathering. After thinking about it, Bell told Herbal that the whole Sierrata tribe must learn how to swim first. Bell then told Herbal that they can talk about swimming after they move on to the island. Members of the Sierrata tribe approached Bell, asking him if it is possible to see the mentioned island now. The two members of the tribe wanted to take a look with their own eyes first. Hearing their request, Bell informs the two that they can ask Takeru to bring them there. Takeru let out a loud "ee" as he didn't expect that Bell would use him again. Bell tells Takeru that the idea is pretty cool, as it also works as practice for Takeru to control the submarine. Takeru finally voiced out his concern, pointing out how Bell is somewhat treating him more crudely in the past couple of days. Unfortunately for Takeru, he wasn't given a chance to decline, as he was immediately dragged by the two members of the Sierrata tribe who wished to see the island. Aval approaches Bell, telling him not to bully Takeru too much. Bell jokingly told Aval that his comment is quite rude and pointed out that how he interacts with Takeru is a way of him showing his love. Bell changes the topic, asking Aval about his shop. Abel responds that he has closed the shop for the day since he still had something to discuss with the chieftain. Hearing this, Herbal asks Aval if he is referring to him, to which Aval responds that he is. Turning his merchant mode on, Abel hopes that Herbal could sell the Sierrata tribe's fur to him. Unsure of what Aval just said, Herbal could only respond, "Yes?" Overhearing the conversation, Bell points to Abel and calls him a sly bastard since he is also aiming for the furs. Herbal asks if their fur can really be sold for money, to which he receives a response that it can. Abel estimates that one roll of the fur could go for around 5 silver coins. Herbal trembles, as he never knew that their fur could be bought for that much. Abel explains that the fur is finer than long-haired goat's fur. There are lots of craftsmen who want it as material for making rugs or clothes. Abel promises that he would even give half of the profit and asks Herbal what he thinks about the offer. Herbal has one more condition for Aval. He wants Bell to receive a part of the profit as well. Herbal turns to Bell, hoping that Bell would accept the condition he asked as gratitude. Bell happily accepts and thanks Herbal for it. Bell then turns to Aval, asking him if he heard it and that he will be expecting good things from the genius merchant. Sighing, Aval can only respond, "Fine." Obtaining the requested furs, both Chapelle and Elytra offered to help. Sitting beside a tree, Bell thought that their problem had now been taken care of. Out of nowhere, an old man appeared and was quite hesitant to speak to Bell, muttering. The old dwarf apologizes to Bell for bothering him while he is resting and asks if Bell could give him some work as well. Surprised to see an old dwarf, Bell asks how long he has been here. The old dwarf states that he has been with the Sierrata tribe from the very start. Confused by the work request, Bell asks the old dwarf if he isn't satisfied with working on the Island Frontier project. The old dwarf responds that it is not that he isn't satisfied but rather wishes to do something else. Bell remembers something and realizes how he had forgotten that dwarves are famous for having godly talent for blacksmithing. Bell tells the old dwarf that he will introduce him to the blacksmith of the village. However, the old dwarf refuses and explains that he sucks at blacksmithing. Hearing that, Bell states how it is quite rare to see a dwarf with no talent for blacksmithing. When Bell asks the dwarf what he can do, the old dwarf reveals that he is a leather craftsman. To clarify, Bell asks if the old dwarf can process leathers and such, to which the old dwarf responds that he can. The old dwarf shares that he made everything that he is wearing and reassures Bell that it is very sturdy. While Bell continues to stare at the old dwarf's work, the old dwarf explains that it is the only thing he can do and pleads with Bell to give him some work. Bell grabs the old dwarf's shoulder, telling him not to worry, as he is certain that there are lots of people who would want him for his skills. Unfortunately, Bell mentioned that there aren't any leather workshops around the village. Feeling gloomy, the old dwarf could only respond, "I see." Bell then mentions that he has mountains of unprocessed leathers back inside his warehouse, which leads Bell to ask the old dwarf if he can be his personal leather craftsman. The old dwarf asks Bell what he meant. Bell reassures the old dwarf that he will pay for the job, and Bell would even build a house for him and his family to live in if the old dwarf needed it. With so many benefits for him to receive, the old dwarf asks Bell if it's really alright to do all that for someone like him. Bell grabs the old dwarf's hand and tells him, "Of course." The old dwarf blushed as Bell tells him that he wants the old dwarf. Meanwhile, the others who heard Bell were left speechless. Holding Bell's hand, the old dwarf accepts Bell's offer of becoming his personal leather craftsman. The two were all giddy, excited to get things done. Bell thought it sounded great and counted on the old dwarf for it. Trembling, Elytra asked what the heck that was. Aval suggests to Elytra that she doesn't mind it since it is not worth her time. Exhausted, Takeru returns and states that she is now back. Bell greets Takeru back and asks him how it was. Takeru responded that things ended safely, but bringing other people with a submarine was really nerve-wracking for Takeru. The pressure of keeping other people safe is just too heavy for him. Bell laughs and tells Takeru that it's a good experience for him either way. Takeru tells Bell that just like what he had said, the world they are now in is really vast. Bell agrees with Takeru and asks him what he is planning to do moving forward. Takeru was thinking of going on a journey to the open sea, as he wishes to see more of their new world with his own two eyes. Understanding and being happy for Takeru's newfound purpose, Bell stands up and tells Takeru that reality is not that easy, even calling him young man. Bell states that Takeru first has to search for his crewmates and he will become the captain of the ship. Bell pointed out that Takeru must definitely need a cook, and of course he would need some men who are strong enough to protect the ship from the pirates. Bell turns serious and states, before everything else, pointing out that Takeru just knows too little of the common sense of their new world. Bell believes that it would really be bad if the captain of the ship, which is Takeru, is an ignorant fool. Starting to get nervous, Takeru asks for Bell to slow down and wait. Takeru was shocked when Bell suddenly shouted and told him that they must go to the town tomorrow. Bell explains that he has some business in town tomorrow which he believes is just perfect, and that they might as well go and accompany each other. Listening to Bell, Takeru couldn't help but laugh so hard. Takeru tells Bell how he truly lives in the spur of the moment. Bell responds that he can only say how he wants to enjoy his villager's life freely after all. Filled with joy, the old dwarf, who now calls Bell Master Bell, told Bell that he had finished what he had asked for. Feeling uncertain, Takeru asks if it was really alright for him to accept the clothes, pointing out how they looked really expensive. Bell responds, reassuring Takeru that there's no problem, and that the old dwarf was just using things that are in his warehouse. Bell turns to the old dwarf, stating the reason why it looked pricey and good was because of the skills of the dwarf. Though the old dwarf was pleased to hear such good praises, he was also embarrassed to hear them and asked Bell to stop. Bell's mother stated how it is all fine if they wish to deepen their friendship, but then asked Bell if they would make it in time. Bell was then reminded that he had plans on going to town today. Hearing that, Bell responds that they are right. Both Chappelle and Tuta approached Bell, asking for him to buy them souvenirs. Defeated by his own siblings, Bell agrees to bring them souvenirs. Takeru then excuse themselves, telling everyone they will now be on their way. Seeing Bell and Takeru ride off on the dragon's back, Chappelle told them to have a safe trip. Meanwhile, Alitera, who also saw Bell leave, remained silent as she closed her eyes. Alitera was then told how she is thinking that she is very lonely after Bell had left her behind. Members of Alitera's party hid behind a tree, asking Alitera if they were somewhat correct. Weirded out by their behavior, Alitera clarifies that she is not. Alitera states how she is just glad that Bell finally made a friend around his age. From Alitera's point of view, Bell seemed like he never really opened his heart fully to anyone. Hearing that, Takola responds, "I suppose." Arriving at Varial City's checkpoint, Bell introduces himself and explains the reason for his visit, which is to buy and stock up on things. Bell points to Takeru and mentions that Takeru was there to help him carry his things. A man wearing glasses stated that Bell also came that year, calling him Bulk Purchasing Boy. Confused, Takeru asks the man what he meant by this year. The man, who is also confused and surprised, asked Takeru if he agreed to help Bell out without knowing anything. The man whispers into Takeru's ear and reveals that every year, Bell shops like crazy as if he's trying to empty the store. Bell would ransack every store from one edge of the street to another. The man even wonders where all of Bell's money comes from, making him look very questionable because of his young face. Not expecting such a revelation, Takeru could only respond, "That much?" The man then allowed the two to enter and welcomed them to Varial City. First of Bell's tasks is to go to the marketplace, and he suggests to Takeru that they head out now. Nervous, Takeru asks if Bell realizes that he isn't that strong. Bell turns his attention to Takeru and clarifies that he always stuffs everything inside his barrier, and reassures Takeru that he doesn't have to worry about it. Takeru asks Bell what barrier he is talking about. Bell shows his barrier to Takeru and explains that it is one of the abilities that he received after reincarnating. Thanks to the barrier, Bell has never had to carry heavy things with him whenever he shops. Witnessing the ability for himself, Takeru comments how such an ability is quite convenient. Bell grabs Takeru's wrist and suggests that they hurry up as they won't have enough time to visit every store if this continues at their slow pace. Takeru was surprised as Bell drags him wherever he goes. Visiting one shop after another and also visiting beautiful spots in town, Bell guided Takeru. The shop owner apologizes to Bell for making him wait and hands him the herbs he ordered. Receiving the herbs, Bell thanked the shop owner and told them that he will drop by again later. Bell asks Takeru if he would like to accompany him to one final place, to which Takeru agrees. When both Bell and Takeru finally reach the place, Takeru was not expecting that they would be visiting a church. Bell was thinking of looking for Takeru's crew at the church. Takeru asks Bell if he could really do that. Bell responds that he can, and revealed that he already spoke with the sister at the church before. Bell tells Takeru that he will have to pick the crew members himself, since they will be people whom Takeru will join in his journey. Bell asks the kids if the director is inside. Seeing Takeru, the kids just ignored them and walked past them. Not expecting a silent response, Bell could only say, "Ah." The door suddenly opens and Bell is called Bell. The director appeared and welcomed the two to their church. Bell thanked the director for welcoming them and asked how the orphanage is doing. The director responds that everything is all good because of Bell's donations. Hearing of donations, Takeru asks Bell if he is correct with what he is thinking, Bell responds that Takeru is correct, explaining that he is helping manage the place. The director stated how they are really indebted to Bell. Takeru couldn't believe that a 15-year-old boy was supporting a church single-handedly. The director then stated that they are about to eat lunch and asked the two if they wish to join them. Bell happily accepts, jokingly telling the director how he couldn't deny the offer since the director insisted. The director handed the two a bowl of soup and bread and lastly stated, "Bon appetit." Takeru was surprised when he realized that it was miso soup after smelling it. Bell clarified that the soup isn't called miso but called gozel soup. Takeru understood and mentioned how he just felt really nostalgic after tasting it. Takeru asked if the soup was made by the sisters of the church. The director responded that it wasn't and that they let the children take turns preparing the meals. When the director was about to point to the two children who were on duty that day, she was surprised when the two suddenly vanished and wondered where they went. Seeing heads by the window, Takeru steps outside and asks the two kids if they were the ones who made the lunch for the day. The boy responds, telling Takeru, "So what?" Not expecting such a cold answer. Takeru explained that he only wishes to say that the soup is really delicious. The girl didn't give out much response and told Takeru, "Well, obviously." The director hopes that Takeru and Bell will forgive the girl's rudeness. Bell responds, telling the director that it is fine and to just let them be for now. Takeru squats down and tells the two kids that he actually has something to talk about with them. Takeru then asks them if they would like to become the cook of his ship. Takeru clarifies that they will not be sailing anytime soon, but still asks for their opinion about his offer. Hearing of a ship, the girl asks Takeru if he is a captain, to which he responds that he is. Takeru was surprised and hurt by the girl's comment, telling him how he looked so unreliable. Takeru somewhat agrees with the girl and revealed that he still has so many things to learn since he is still a newbie. However, Takeru reassures that he won't disappoint them because he will bring them to see a lot of spectacular sights which they cannot see at the church. The boy immediately becomes interested after hearing spectacular sights, and even asks Takeru if someone like him could even see those sights. Takeru told the boy that he is and suggests that they see it together. The girl became intrigued and jealous and also asked Takeru that she also wishes to see it. The girl asked Takeru if he is going to hire her as well, calling Takeru captain to gain favor. Bell then turns to the director, stating that the kids and Takeru have come into an agreement, and asks her if she is alright with it. The director responded that she is, and that she wouldn't go against what the children had decided. Both Bell and Takeru left the kids excited for the future work. Bell then tells Takeru how he will now have to work really hard, so that he can go on an adventure as soon as possible, to which Takeru agrees. Bell then looks in a different direction and decides that they now must go to the royal capital next. Hearing this, Takeru looked confused and said, Bell points out that there isn't anyone who's strong enough to fight pirates while protecting Takeru and the kids at the same time. With that reason, Bell decided to look for them at a place further away. Bell asks Takeru what he will do now. Takeru responds, "Of course I'll go." Bell laughs, pointing to the good expression that Takeru is showing, fitting for a captain. Takeru responds that it is all thanks to Bell. Later that night, Bell's siblings were now heavily asleep. While reading a book, Bell heard someone outside and wondered who was visiting him so late at night. Bell told the person outside that the door is open. Opening the door, Alitra appeared and asked Bell if they could talk for a bit. Bell remained silent, curious as to what Alitra wishes to talk about. Alitra heard about Bell and Takeru going to the royal capital, to which Bell responds that they are. Bell is thinking of visiting various places while looking for any experts for Takeru. Bell was also thinking that he can makeshift his warehouse as their temporary residence for the time being. Bell then thought of an idea and asked Alitra if she wishes to join them. Before Bell could finish his sentence, Alitra cuts him off and tells Bell that she will not be joining them. Alitra clarifies that she will not be going with him because she is an adventurer. Alitra asks Bell if he is going on an adventure, to which Bell responds that not right away but probably will. Alitra stated that she does not know if she will still be at the house when Bell returns, so she wants to at least say her thanks now, as she really felt happy when Bell told her that her black hair is pretty. Thanks to those words, Alitra was able to look forward proudly now. Hearing that, Bell stated that it's great that Alitra could now move forward proudly. Extending her hand out, Alitra had hoped that if Bell were an adventurer just like her. Bell smiles and tells Alitra that she can come back whenever she feels lonely, reassuring that he will always be there. Hearing this, Alitra smiles and tells Bell how he truly is a good man, even though he is way younger than her. Responding to Alitera's praise, Bell said, "Thanks, I guess." Bell informs Takeru that he plans for them to take the submarine to go to the royal capital. Puzzled, Takeru thought that it would be much faster if they rode Bell's dragon. Bell agrees, but he believes it would be more convenient if they take the sea route. Bell then explains to Takeru of his plan, and that is to first go to a small island near the royal capital with Takeru's submarine. and then they are going to continue their trip with Bell's boat. Takeru understands Bell's plan but asks him why they are avoiding the port. Bell reveals to Takeru that the one controlling the port is the Mafia. Hearing this, Takeru became afraid and muttered, "Eee!" Takeru had no idea that the public order in the royal capital would be that bad. Now that Takeru knows of the Mafia, Bell pointed out how it would be troublesome if they drew attention to the Mafia. With the mood becoming tense, Takeru couldn't help but be shocked when the old dwarf suddenly called Bell Master. Taking deep breaths, the old dwarf was glad that he had finally caught up with Bell. Seeing that it was just the dwarf uncle, Bell asks what was wrong. Before the old dwarf could say any further, another dwarf appeared and expressed how honored he is to meet Bell. Confused, Bell asked who the young dwarf was. The old dwarf explained that it was his son, and that his son was really determined to become Bell's apprentice. The young dwarf wished for Bell to take him to the royal capital and even offered to do all the physical labor. Bell agrees and was very glad that they'd be going together. Hearing the wonderful news, the young dwarf cheered as he didn't expect that Bell would agree. Takeru greets the young dwarf but couldn't greet him properly since he didn't know the young dwarf's name. The young dwarf told Takeru to call him Denko and even called Takeru his Aniki. The old dwarf wanted his son to not cause any trouble for Bell in his travels. Annoyed and embarrassed, Denko responds, I know. When the three finally took their trip, Denko couldn't help but be amazed at the speed of the boat they were riding. Denko praises Bell since he never expected that Bell could even make a boat. Hearing such praise, Bell laughed. Bell mentioned that as long as there's iron sand, he is also certain that Denko is capable of making a boat as well. Bell asks Denko, confirming that dwarves also possess magic. From what Bell understands is that the dwarf magic is just another application of earth magic. Hearing this, Denko asks Bell if he was serious. Denko then promises that he will try to make one when they return to their village. Bell points ahead of them and tells them that they've finally arrived. Denko was again amazed after seeing the royal capital. Arriving at the royal capital of Slenviek, Takeru too was amazed. Bell explained that the capital is within a marine city with 300 years of history behind it. Bell mentioned that the royal capital has a different atmosphere from the towns on the land. First on Bell's plan is to clean up the warehouse so they can sleep in it. Denko raises his hand, offering to do the clearing so that both Bell and Takeru could stay focused on searching for Takeru's crew. When Denko is asked if he is certain, Denko responds to leave it all to him, and promises that it will all be shiny when they return. Accepting Denko's offer, Bell hands him the key, which Denko accepted. Denko waves at the two. Takeru becomes frightened when Bell suggests that they will be going to the port. Takeru asked why they were headed to the port and reminded Bell of what he had said before, which is that it is the Mafia's territory. Bell tells Takeru to relax and not be so timid. Bell reassures Takeru that everything will be fine if they just take a walk there. Worried, Takeru asks Bell if they can really find experts at the port. Bell gave an honest response and told Takeru that he actually wasn't sure about that either. However, Bell was thinking of asking his friend who lives at the royal capital. Hearing this, Takeru did not expect that Bell would have a friend at the capital. Bell revealed that his friend was the president of the Bazivador company, Barvand. Hearing of the company alone, Takeru wonders how Bell met such a man. During their walk at the port, Denko still continues to wonder how Bell met Barvand and ended up bumping into someone. Bell then told Takeru to be more careful since there are lots of people at the port. An old acquaintance saw Bell and asked if it was really him. Lagier, who's a member of the Bazivador company, confirms Bell's identity after seeing his face and tells Bell that it has been a while. Lagier told Bell that meeting him was a nice surprise as he never thought that he would meet Bell again in the royal capital. As Lagier continues to talk about how indebted they are to him for repairing their ship, Bell finally spoke, asking Lagier who he was again. Embarrassed, Lagier reintroduces himself as part of the Bazivador company. After thinking about it, Bell somewhat remembers meeting Lagier before. Putting their small reunion aside, Bell asked if Barvand is inside. Lagier apologizes and tells Bell that their president is a really busy man and asks if Bell wanted to leave him a message. Bell told Lagier that a message was not needed and decided to ask Lagier instead. Bell wondered if Lagier knew some good men around the area as they were searching for crewmates for Takeru's ship. Lagier faced Takeru and muttered, "Ship crew, huh?" Lagier smiles and suggests hiring adventurer merchants as members. Nervous, Takeru asked Lagier what he meant by adventurer merchants. Lagier explained that there are adventurers who also do trades when they sail, which Lagier believes that those types of adventurers would be a good choice. Takeru was surprised, as he didn't know that there were people who would do that. After listening to Lagier's suggestion, Bell asks Takeru if they now plan to look for adventurer merchants. Takeru tells Bell that they are. Lagier offered to guide the two to the place where the adventurer merchants hang out. Takeru's attention was drawn by something and asked Bell what he thought about the smoke in the sky. Looking at the source of the smoke, Bell realized that it was coming from a burning ship. The two then heard someone asking for help and calling a doctor. A woman covered in bruises and dirt stated that her father isn't going to hold on much longer. Belle asked what had happened to them. From what Legier could tell, the ship was attacked by pirates. When asked where the doctor is and if no one is going to call for them, Takeru was then told that in their area, doctors only treat nobles and the rich, which means that there's nothing more they can do. Takeru felt horrified after hearing such information. Belle then approached the woman, calling her attention and asking her if she wished for Belle to treat her father. The woman was quite confused when Belle offered to help and could only say, "Eh?" Belle explained that he has some medicines with him, which may probably help the woman's father. Hearing this, the woman asks Belle if he really can help. Belle responds that he can. However, Belle pointed out to the woman that her father's right arm is already useless. They have no other choice but to amputate it. Hearing this, the woman becomes angry at Belle, grabbing him by his shirt. The woman calls Belle a bastard and stated that her father won't be able to sail again if Belle were to amputate the arm. The woman continues to tell Belle how her father is a proud adventurer and how Belle's suggestion would make her father unable to sail again. After mentioning how preposterous it sounded, Belle understands the woman's frustrations and that it is hard to accept such reality. But Belle then pointed out to the woman that there is nothing more important than her father's life. The woman admits that Belle may be correct, but having her father's arm taken away is something that will change her father's future. Hearing her name being called Navari and being asked to calm down, Navari turns and realizes that her father has regained consciousness. The man apologizes to Belle for Navari's rude behavior. The man then introduces himself as Blarney, an adventurer merchant. Blarney turns back to the topic where Belle had to cut off his right arm and asked for Belle to do it. Laughing through the pain, Blarney believes that what Belle said is right and that everything will be for nothing if he dies. Blarney also apologizes for troubling Belle again and again, and asks for him to also look at the rest of the crew's injuries. Understanding Blarney's wish, Belle called for Legier and asked that he bring every clean cloth he could find. Legier then followed Belle's order. Belle then called for Takeru and told Takeru that he will be helping him with amputating Blarney's arm. After some time, the fire on the ship finally died out and Belle had successfully amputated Blarney's arm. Belle apologizes to Legier for dragging him into such a mess. Legier told Belle to not apologize and pointed out that it was the necessary thing to do since it is an emergency. Belle asks Legier to send his regards to Barvand, to which Legier responds that he would gladly do that. The two then separated and went their own ways. Belle then turns to Takeru and tells him that they will now head back, and asks if he can walk. Surprised at first, Belle remained silent. As the two started walking back, Belle asked Takeru if he was stunned, to which Takeru responded that he was. Belle pointed out that what it meant is that sailing will always be accompanied with danger. Sighing, Takeru understands and tells Belle that he clearly sees it now. Looking at Takeru, Belle asks if he is getting cold feet to sail now. Takeru admits that he is afraid. However, being afraid is not what bothers him. Takeru shared his thoughts, and how he was thinking that he will have to work himself harder so that he won't put his ship's crew in danger. And that is because he is also the captain of the ship. Hearing this, Belle smiles and cheers for Takeru to do his best, calling him Mr. Captain. To kill the tense mood, Belle slaps Takeru's back. Denko opens the window and is greeted by Belle with a good morning. Denko greeted back, telling Belle good morning as well, and asked him if they slept well last night. Belle responded that they did, and that it was all thanks to Denko for cleaning the place up. Denko was overjoyed hearing Belle's praise and promised that he would do his best. Before Denko could continue with what he was about to say, he got cut off by his own stomach loudly grumbling. With Denko embarrassed, Belle remembered that they have not eaten their breakfast yet. Belle suggests that they head to the Adventurers Guild for their breakfast for the day. However, Takeru felt indifferent towards the idea of eating at the Adventurers Guild, pointing out that they are not even adventurers in the first place. Belle reassures Takeru that it is all right. Belle then continues to tell Takeru that the guild is a place that does anything a person imagines. One thing Belle added is that the guild's cafeteria is open to the public, which means that Takeru has nothing to worry about. Hearing this, Takeru leaves a comment at how the royal capital is just too amazing. Denko cheerfully told Takeru that they are presented with a great opportunity, pointing out that it was his first time to eat at an adventurer's guild as well. With Takeru's mood brightening up, he tells Denko that he was now looking forward to it. Now that they've finally decided, Belle told everyone to hurry up and get ready. Denko excitedly responded, "Okay." While walking around the capital, Denko's smile was gradually fading as he told Belle that they've reached another dead end. Puzzled, Belle wondered if he made a wrong turn. However, Denko does not believe so. Denko then mentioned that there is a road ahead of them, but the path is completely blocked by broken debris. Observing the surroundings, Belle notices the traces of wind blades and craters. Belle wonders what kind of idiot would use magic inside a crowded city like that. Bystanders who saw Belle called his attention and told him that it is dangerous over there. They were then told that it was because of the hero princess's magic that the area all crumbled down. Hearing that, both Denko and Takeru were confused as to who the hero princess is. Seeing that the two look clueless, the woman asks if they do not know about the hero princess. The woman reveals that the hero princess is the Majesty's fourth child and was chosen by God when she was just 10 years old to become a hero. Hearing that, Takeru couldn't help but act surprised, pointing out that 10 years old is just too young. The woman responded asking Takeru when did age become relevant in becoming a hero. The two women then started talking to each other and mentioned that though the hero princess was just trying to do her best, she tends to go too far sometimes. The women find relief in the thought that the kingdom would definitely repair everything that the hero princess destroyed, and that it is much better than to have some random thugs destroy it in the first place. With both agreeing, they then started mentioning how, above all else, simply looking at the hero princess was enough to make one happy. The woman responded that it is correct, even commenting how the hero princess is just too cute. The women were certain that the hero princess will grow into a beauty in the future, which they both totally agree with. The two then turned their attention to Belle and the others, and told them that if they are lucky, they would be able to see the cute hero princess as well. Takeru remained silent, while Belle politely replied, "Right," sighing. Belle wonders as to why aunties always talk for a long time. Denko shared to Belle that her mother is also like them. Seeing Takeru looking anxious, Belle asked him what was wrong. Takeru points out how the two aunties' pressure was just too incredible. Laughing from Takeru's comment, Belle responded and told Takeru that he is damn right. Besides the auntie's story, Takeru still just finds it hard to believe. Belle told Takeru that though what they heard sounded like mad rambling in their new world, that is pretty normal. Belle then whispers to Takeru and reminds him that they did talk to a god when they got reincarnated. Takeru agrees with Belle, but still feels that it is now becoming too much fantasy for him. Denko called Belle and Takeru's attention, telling them to hurry up. In response, Belle told Denko, okay. Unbeknownst to Belle and the others, they've passed by someone important. Arriving at the guild, both Takeru and Denko could not help but be amazed after seeing all the food they ordered. Even Denko commented how it looked like a feast. Belle told the two that he just ordered random items and that they can just eat whichever they like. Takeru does not know where to start with all the options that are present to him. After saying bon appetit, the two then started the food. However, although Denko liked the food, Takeru did not share the same thought and even spit the food out. Concerned, Denko asked Takeru what the problem was. Takeru explained that the food was too salty. Belle realized that he forgot to tell Takeru that the place is a multiracial cafeteria. Showing a smile, Belle tells Takeru to sometimes not mind the taste. Hearing this, Takeru responded and told Belle to say it much earlier. Belle apologizes and offers to grab some water for Takeru. Belle instructs Denko to take care of Takeru while he is away, to which Denko responds that he will. Not looking good, Takeru was starting to miss the food at Belle's home. Takeru then notices that it is more noisy over there and tells Denko about it. A party mixed with different races appeared, to which Denko immediately recognized them as the A-rank adventurer party, Red Thunderclap. Takeru asks Denko if that party is famous. Hearing that question, Denko was shocked and asked Takeru if he was joking. Eyes filled with admiration, Denko told Takeru that A-rank is the highest rank between adventurers, and that the Red Thunderclap is the strongest adventurers the country has. Looking at the members of the Red Thunderclap, Takeru guessed that Denko may be right, as he could see that the party had a certain aura on them. The Red Thunderclap party consists of the warrior, Dariella, the mage, Balira, the archer, Katja, and their leader Zanbari. Belle returns with the pitcher of water and immediately notices how the place had become more rowdy, and asks the two what happened. Denko then called Belle, and then pointed at the Red Thunderclap party. Before Denko could continue what he was about to say, both Belle and Dariella saw each other. Surprised, a loud "ah" was heard. Dariella, Kachi, and Balira then looked at Belle's direction and confirmed that it really is Belle they are seeing. When Balira told Dariella that she is right, Kachi then greeted Belle and told him how it has been a while since they last met. Seeing how the Red Thunderclap knew Belle and casually talked to him, both Denko and Takeru were left speechless and puzzled. Belle responded, greeting the Red Thunderclap party and pointed out how they seemed to be doing pretty well. Dariella hugs Belle and tells him that he too looked well. Dariella asked Belle why he didn't inform them that he would be visiting the royal capital. Balira asked Dariella to stop making a scene inside the guild. Kache asks for everyone to calm down, and tells Balira that it has been a while since they've seen Belle, and hoped that Balira would cut Dariella some slack. All confused, Denko could only comment how amazing Belle truly is. Takeru also agrees with Denko, and even wondered when did Belle get close to such famous people. Zanbari then told the two that they first met Belle while he was still 8 years old, still trying to jog his memory if he is correct. After that, Zanbari and the others crashed the night at Belle's house several times. Zanbari asked Takeru and Denko if they are Belle's friends. Not expecting the party leader to approach them, Takeru politely introduces himself, while Denko introduces himself as Belle's apprentice. Dariella believed that fate had led them to meet again, and asked Belle if they could join their table. Belle responds, allowing the Red Thunderclap to join as he does not see any problem with it. Katya told Belle that they have something to do first. Katya then called Zanbari and mentioned how he had something to say to Belle. Puzzled, Belle asks what it is about. Unable to look Belle straight in the eye, Zanbari mentions how it won't make any difference if he tells Belle later. However, Balira becomes angry and tells Zanbari no can do. Balira then went on and told Zanbari how he is always like that, and that even though Zanbari says that, he would always forget about it later. Now that Zanbari has all the time in the world, Balira orders him to do it now and to tell Belle properly. Moving to a more private table, both Belle and Zanbari remain silent for the time being. Katya whispers to Balira and tells her how they were a little too forceful on Zanbari. Balira believes that it was just perfect for Zanbari, calling him a hard-headed oaf. Curious, Takeru asks if Belle had done something wrong. Dariella clarifies that Belle is just going to be okay, and that what they are about to talk about is not a bad topic for Belle. Belle initiates the conversation, asking Zanbari what he was about to say. Zanbari admitted how he didn't know it would be very sudden and asked Belle what he thinks about him going to marry someone. Hearing such a question, Belle was left both puzzled and confused. Zanbari pointed out that he is already 45 years old and was thinking that it was about time for him to settle down and start a family with a lovely woman. Sighing, Belle asks Zanbari if he was just going to boast at him. Belle tells Zanbari that he agrees with him and even roots for him. When Belle asked who the lucky girl was, Zanbari responded that he has been dating for 5 years now. The woman is not only pretty but also a really understanding person. Zanbari's girlfriend also sees him off with the prettiest smile every single time. With Zanbari planning to marry and settle down, Belle asks what would happen to the Red Thunderclap. Overhearing their conversation, Balira told the two to not worry about them. Kachi also mentioned that they've already talked about it for a long time before finally deciding to disband the party for good. Belle was shocked hearing the news. Denko asks Dariella if they are going to stop being adventurers. Responding to Denko's question, Dariella still does not know about that, and mentioned that there are options of being a freelance adventurer. Returning to the topic, Belle asks who is the bride-to-be, and if it was someone from their village. After a moment of silence, Zanbari finally reveals the name and tells Belle that it was Nyanra. Belle stood up. Seeing Belle tremble, Takeru asks Belle if there was any problem, and if Nyanra is someone he knows. Belle tells Takeru that it's not that he knows who Nyanra is, it was the fact that Nyanra is her mother. Takeru was surprised to learn the identity of the person who Zanbari is going to marry. Belle remembered Zanbari mentioning that it had been 5 years since he started dating Nyanra, and asked how he never realized it. Balira told Belle that the relationship was just too platonic that sometimes even she felt that it is too lacking. Kachi also mentioned how Zanbari and Nyanra's dates were very wholesome. Embarrassed, Zanbari asks for the two to shut up. Zanbari revealed that his current trip to the royal capital is just for him to give his last greeting to all of his benefactors before he retired as an adventurer. The next time Zanbari returns to Belle's village, it would just be the plain Zanbari and not the adventurer. Moving forward with his life, Zanbari only wishes to spend the rest of his life protecting Nyanra, Chappelle, Tuda, and Belle. Zanbari then asks Belle's permission to marry her mother, Nyanra. Sighing, Belle told Zanbari that since he had already committed himself that much, he could no longer say no to him. Belle sits down and tells Zanbari that he will be waiting for him at the village. Belle pointed out that calling Zanbari his father might be impossible for now, as he felt embarrassed in doing it. Zanbari doesn't mind, and suggests that they become a family at their own pace. With the heavy topic reaching its end, Dariella asks for everyone to congratulate them with everything they got. Zanbari told everyone to drink as much as they wanted, as it was his treat. Hearing such a tempting offer, Dariella tells Zanbari that he is too kind. On the other hand, Balira asked if she could order sweets instead. Kachi then told the miners that they are not allowed to drink alcohol, to which the three responded, okay. After drinking multiple bottles of liquor, Zanbari finally reached his limit and ended up passing out on the table. Taking a closer look at Zanbari, Belle confirms that he did pass out. Kachi believes that the burden Zanbari was carrying has been lifted off his shoulder shortly after talking to Belle. Belle circles back to the topic of the Red Thunderclap disbanding and asks Kachi what she is going to do next. Clueless, Katja responded that she never really thought about what lies ahead. Katja was also not sure about being a freelance adventurer, and was more leaning on the idea of retirement. Dariella laughs, asking Katja what was wrong with her, as she pointed out how Katja sounded like an old grandpa. Balira shared her opinion and believes that retirement might be the best option Katja has. Balira pointed out how Katja had already lived for more than 100 years, which begs the question as to when she will be planning on settling down. Listening to Balira, Katja explained that as a member of a long-living race like elves, she is still considered young. Hearing this, Belira responds, "Whatever." Since Kachi didn't have any plans made up after the disbandment, Bell asks for her to listen to his proposal. Pointing at Takeru, Bell shared that they are looking for a crew for Takeru's ship, and asked Kachi if she is interested. After hearing Bell's proposal, Kachi remained silent while Takeru was in shock, as he did not expect that Bell would recruit a member of the esteemed Red Thunderclap. Takeru then confronts Bell, asking him what he is saying such a thing all of a sudden. Bell explained that he has been thinking about it for a while now. Bell also vouches for Kachi's ability. Nervous and embarrassed, Takeru tells Kachi that he is allowed to reject the offer if she doesn't like it. Takeru was surprised when he received an immediate response. Kachi stood up and asked Takeru to let her join his crew. Kachi asks for Takeru to treat her well moving forward. After mentioning Takeru's name, Kachi realizes his mistake and immediately corrects it, then calls Takeru Captain. Takeru was surprised as she was Kachi, calling him her captain without hesitation. Takeru asks Kachi if he was certain and suggests that she can take her time before deciding. However, Kachi reassures Takeru that there's no need for him to worry. Kachi mentions that he always trusts his gut feelings, and it was telling her to follow Takeru as her captain. Hearing this, Takeru mutters, "Eeh!" Takeru then turns to Bell, asking if there's a possibility that Kachi is now really drunk. Bell reassures Takeru that Kachi isn't drunk, but rather it is just his personality. Even though Kachi has a pretty face, Bell tells Takeru that Kachi is the same with everyone else, a bastard who loves adventures. Nervous, Takeru points out how it is just too extreme. When Kachi approached Takeru and called him captain, Takeru was surprised and ended up responding to her. Kachi grabs Takeru by the shoulder, reassuring him that there is no longer a need for him to be afraid. Stating his name, Kachi shares that he has approved of Takeru and swore that he would definitely support Takeru. With that reason, Kachi hopes that they enjoy the unexplored experience together. With Kachi beaming with a smile, Takeru finally accepts Kachi as one of his crew and responds yes to him. Hearing that, someone laughed and pointed out how Kachi got Takeru in his look line and successfully convinced Takeru. Belira turns to Bell, telling him that he is responsible for bringing Kachi and Takeru together, to which Bell responds, "Of course." After their small celebration, the two parties went their separate ways as Bell carried the sleeping Denko. Bell asks Kachi if he really is certain about joining them. Kachi responds that he is, as he too wanted to learn more about his new captain after all. What excites Kachi even more are the adventurous tales of Takeru up until now. Takeru responds that even if Kachi says that, he does not know what he should tell him. Kachi told Takeru that the night is still young, and that they have plenty of time to talk about it. Kachi vows that he will accompany Takeru forever. Nervous, Takeru believes that he would certainly fall asleep halfway through. While on their way back, Bell notices something. When Takeru asks what it was, Bell asks Takeru to look, pointing to the group of people who are in front of their warehouse. Curious, Bell wonders what the men are doing there. As Bell finally got closer, he heard the men ask another person who was on the ground who the mastermind behind it was. When Bell asked the men who they were, the men then introduced themselves as the patrol guards. The patrol guards received reports that people who touched the warehouse were suddenly unable to move again. The guards then asked Bell, confirming that they were the owner of the warehouse. The patrol guard asked Bell what kind of magic he used and ordered him to hurriedly undo the magic. Kachi stepped forward and excused himself. Kachi knelt in front of the man and cast a spell on him. The man was shocked as he realized that he could move again. Witnessing Kachi's action, the patrol guard asked what he had done. Kachi was confused and explained that he had only acted out as the patrol guard had wished. Kachi pointed out that he was undoing the magic, and asked the patrol guard what about it. What disappoints Kachi is that even the patrol guards hired by the country could not undo a low-level magic. Kachi commented on how the level of the Royal Capital Guards had surely dropped. Hearing this, the patrol guard was insulted and angrily swung his weapon at Kachi, even calling Kachi a bastard. However, as an experienced A-rank adventurer, Kachi grabbed the weapon with ease. With a serious look, Kachi told the patrol guards that their business at the warehouse was now finished, and that it was starting to get pretty late, after which Kachi politely asked the patrol guards to leave. Intimidated by Kachi, the patrol guards agreed and left the premises. Bell thanked Kachi, but Takeru, who witnessed the whole thing, asked Kachi what he was thinking, picking a fight with guards like that. Kachi explained to his captain that the people who introduced themselves as patrol guards weren't really patrol guards, but instead members of the mafia. Takeru became confused after hearing that. Bell told Takeru that Kachi was correct and that those people only came to the warehouse to give them a warning, similar to the saying, "Don't get full of yourself" or something. Bell believed that those men were also in cohorts with the real patrol guards as well. Though Takeru was very frightened to hear that the mafia was keeping watch on them, what made him wonder more was why the mafia was watching them in the first place. From Kachi's perspective, he pointed out the fact that a 15-year-old boy, who was capable of renting a whole warehouse for himself, was pretty conspicuous in his eyes and might have attracted the same thing for the mafia. Katya reassured them that all would be alright as he planned on repelling all of them back. Hearing this, Belle felt reassured. However, Belle asked Katya to use a more peaceful way to resolve the matter next time. Katya smiled as he responded to Belle that he would try next time. Meanwhile, Takeru could not shake off his worries that the mafia were now observing them. Now that their first objective, which was to search for experts for Takeru's crew, has been safely completed, Belle asks Takeru what he plans on doing moving forward. Takeru decides to go on a royal capital sightseeing tour with Katya. After learning of Takeru's decision, Belle decided that he would go to the market since he still hadn't bought any souvenirs for the others back at the village. Denko excitedly asked Belle if he could join him to the market, to which Belle responded, "Sure." Denko was overjoyed, thinking that he will go shopping with Belle. Belle remembered that Takeru does not have any money with him, and would probably need some since he will be doing some sightseeing. When Belle asked Takeru to give out his hand, Takeru thanked Belle for lending him money. However, Takeru was surprised when Belle handed him a lump sum of money. While Takeru could only mutter, Katya asked Belle how much he put inside the pouch. Thinking about the amount, Belle guesses that it was around 500 gold coins. With that amount, Belle believes that Takeru would probably be able to buy most of the things sold at the royal capital. Laughing hysterically, Katya was glad that Belle's sense of money is as broken as always. Nervous, Takeru asks for Belle to wait and if he is meant to carry a bag full of money everywhere. Hearing this, Belle also decided to give Takeru a bonus. Belle places a barrier on the bag so that people other than Takeru won't be able to open it. Though Takeru was grateful for what Belle did, he stated that it was not his main concern. Belle clarifies to Takeru that he is allowed to use all of the money that he gave but advises him to use it wisely. Hearing the advice, Takeru responds calling Belle's name. Belle hopes that Takeru, whom he also calls Mr. Captain, would do his best. Belle tells Takeru to treat it as a surprise lesson on how to use money wisely. Sighing, Takeru didn't feel great at all. Looking at his captain, Katya asks Takeru if he is alright. Katya encourages Takeru and reassures him that everything will be alright since he will stay by Takeru's side and walk with more pride. Hearing that, Takeru somewhat felt reassured and thanked Katya. As soon as Belle stepped out, he was then met with a group of thugs carrying various objects as weapons. Seeing this, Katya realizes that the mafia came back for some revenge. Sighing, Belle asks the thugs if they know what time it was. Katya asks Belle what they plan to do. Belle had no doubt that they would have a hard time dealing with the thugs. However, Belle finds it too troublesome. Belle suggests that they just shake the thugs off and lose them. Katya responds, "Roger that," following Belle's plan. When Belle told Denko that they are now going, Denko was surprised by the sudden order and could only respond, yes." With his ability, Belle grabbed Denko and the two flew away. Katya and Takeru, on the other hand, ran the other way. The thugs tell Katya and Takeru to not go away and to chase after them. Laughing, Katya states that the situation is very thrilling and asks Takeru if he shared the same thoughts. Katya mentions how his gut feeling was just spot on. Katya knew that joining Takeru's crew was the correct decision. Katya meant that even now, his heart won't stop pounding whenever he thinks about the unexplored adventures he is going to experience. Belle finally stopped flying as he guessed that place was good enough for them to land. Denko notices a girl dwarf and tells Belle that the girl is exactly like him. Denko didn't expect that there are also dwarves who live in the royal capital. However, Belle tells Denko that he is wrong and tells him that he wouldn't call it living. Belle then asks for Denko to look carefully. Following Belle's order, Denko realizes that everyone seemed to be refused from monster attacks or famine. Belle clarifies that those people do not live at the royal capital but rather are just staying at the capital. Since those people do not have anything to eat, they only get by with the vegetable scraps from various stalls. Hearing this, Denko asks Belle if they can help those people somehow. Puzzled, Belle asks Denko what he meant by somehow. Hearing Belle's response, Denko could only mutter, Belle then asks for Denko to listen carefully. Belle tells Denko that it's okay if it's still a bit vague but points out that Denko needs to be clear with whatever he wants to say, otherwise no one will help him. Nervous, Denko tells Belle that he wishes to help those people. However, he still can't think of an idea of how to help them exactly. Listening to Denko, Belle thought that half-assed compassion won't help those people at all. However, rearing all of them is also not impossible. Belle wonders what he would do in such a situation. Belle mutters, "Oh, right," as he got an idea. Belle suggests to Denko in giving the beggars some jobs. Confused, Denko asks Belle what he meant by jobs. Belle shares a saying, "He who does not work, neither shall he eat," and believes that in that way, they can help those people in a way. Hearing this, Denko became excited and immediately called everyone's attention and asked for them to listen to him. This surprised Belle and he tries to ask Denko to wait for a second. However, before Belle could say any further, Denko announces that Belle will be giving out jobs for everyone, and in that way, the beggars won't have to worry about food anymore. Hearing this, The beggars immediately ran towards Belle, which surprised him and Denko. With the kids getting excited, Belle asks for them to wait and calm down. A young girl told Belle that there was a church nearby, and if he would like to change locations, to which Belle responded that he would. Handing out food to everyone, Denko told them that they do not need to be in a hurry since there's enough for everyone to eat. Belle spoke with the nun and apologized to her for barging into the church without any warning. The nun responded that she does not mind and believes that it is all God's will. A young girl apologizes to Belle and the sister for interrupting their conversation. The girl thanked Belle for not only providing them with some food, but also some lovely clothes. Belle also thanked the girl for leading him to the church. The girl apologizes for their late introduction and introduces herself as Carrie, and the girl beside her is her littler sister, Barney. The tall boy behind her is named Dom, and the dwarf girl is called Rim. Carrie changes the topic and asks Belle about the work that he is going to give them. Belle responds right, and immediately goes straight to the point. Belle asks for them to buy everything listed on the paper for him. Flipping the paper, Carrie stated that there are a lot of ingredients listed. After taking a closer look, Carrie was starting to notice what the items were. Belle explains that the items are souvenirs for people at his village and ingredients for their dinner. Belle tells Carrie that he would probably assign her to more proper jobs in the future. But for the time being, that is all the job he has for them. Hearing this, Carrie could not hide her sad expression. When Belle asked what was the problem, Carrie explained how she is not sure if they really can do the job. Belle mentioned how he has been thinking about something since then, but pointed out how Carrie's speech is really well-mannered. Carrie was surprised and puzzled, muttering, "Based on what Belle is seeing, he can tell that Carrie could probably read to some degree," and asks her if he was right. Carrie responded, revealing that she has been to school before. Belle also noticed how Barney divided all of the vegetable scraps evenly right. Dom was pretty good at calming down the others who were almost becoming wild. Lastly, Belle also notices that Rim seemed to have high communication skills. Belle considered each of their abilities before he picked the four of them. Belle told the four that it is alright and to have more confidence in themselves and in their friends. Belle hopes that they will believe in each other and work together. Hearing such encouraging words, the four kids brightened up and told Belle that they will work together. Belle orders Denko to go with the four and to help them in carrying things, to which Denko responds, "Yes, Belaniki." The five kids were now buying all of the things that Belle requested. Rim calls Denko's attention, to which Denko responds, asking Rim what was wrong. Rim stated how Denko's big brother is really kind. Denko smiled and responded that Belle is indeed not only the kindest person in the world, but also the coolest. Back at the church, the nun apologizes and explains that she truly wants for them to stay the night at the church. However, the church is just too small for everyone. Belle responds, telling the nun that it's alright as they will deal with the lodging problem themselves. Belle informs the nun that they will be visiting again tomorrow morning and wishes to talk about the church's reconstruction then. The nun responds, "I understand." Later that night, Belle returns to the warehouse, and as soon as he opens the door and tells the kids that they will be staying at the house tonight, he is puzzled when fairies suddenly appear and mention that someone has come back. Looking at Belle's face up close, the other fairies mention that their fellow fairy is right. The fairies then asked Takeru if Belle was the one he was talking about. Another elf also stated that Belle is way younger than she imagined. Having his hair pulled, Takeru could barely open his eyes from the pain. Katja then ordered the fairies to stop troubling his captain, to which the fairies responded, "Okay!" Belle calls for Kachi, asking for an explanation for what he is seeing. Kachi also wishes to ask Belle the same thing, wanting to know about the kids that he brought. After a small explanation from Belle, Kachi understood and mentioned that such action is just what Belle would do. Kachi told Belle that a lot of things also happened to them, but to put it in simpler terms, they bought the pixies that are inside the house. Kachi was thinking of letting Takeru learn a bit about society and took him to the black market. But Takeru then saw the girls being sold there. One thing led to another, and Belle guessed that Takeru used the money he gave to buy the pixies off. Kachi responds that Belle is correct. Takeru apologizes to Belle for using all of the money he gave and explains that he could not bring himself to turn a blind eye on the pixies. Belle tells Takeru that he really does not mind, but rather was curious as to what Takeru's plans are for the pixies. Takeru was thinking of letting the pixies work on his ship. Takeru knows that it is not his place to say and mention that he bought the pixies with Belle's money and not his. However, he still thought long and hard before buying them off. Takeru then turns to Belle and asks if it's alright with him. Belle smiles and tells Takeru that it was him who decided, then he won't say anything about it any further. The pixies told Takeru that he had done it, to which Takeru responded that he did. Hearing about a ship, the pixies were now more excited that they were going to ride one and felt that their situation had turned from bad to great. A pixie approaches Belle and tells him that he is a really good person, and then asks for Belle's name. Staring at the pixies, Denko stated how it is a first for him in seeing them. Sitting on top of Belle's head, a pixie mentioned the feeling up on Belle's head was not that bad. Sighing, Belle guesses that things will get a lot noisier moving forward.